up. I think I've got it working. Okay, good. Okay, we're in good shape now. This is something I usually try to do every year, is do an playoff predictions tier, and then you guessed it, a NFL quarterbacks tier. We'll get to that one shortly, but I usually try to do this every year. I think whenever I did my old podcast back in like 2020, I used to do this a lot. Actually, I did this whenever I did my old podcast. Well, needless to say, I was honestly quite off on the NFC East because it was so weird. I think that year I had the Philadelphia Eagles winning the division when they was the worst team in the division, and the then known Washington football team won the division. Also, hey Kira, I just seeing you in the chat there, but that's what we're going to be doing. I think first I will start off with the AFC East, and then we'll work our way down. So I think we will start with Buffalo. So as far as their free agency goes, and I pretty much like what they've done with free agent, although the only thing I don't understand with Buffalo, how you bring back Matt Barkley, but then you trade for Case Keenum. I never understood that. I mean, you have one backup quarterback anyway, even after Trubisky leaves in free agency, and you bring on Barkley, and you bring on Keenum? Honestly, kind of surprised the Browns. Well, I'll get into the Browns later on, but it's kind of surprising they would trade for. Well, actually, I guess I would prefer Case Keenum over Matt Barkley. I mean, Barkley was alright, but I mean, Keenum's won games and Keenum's won playoff games. It never hurts to have that security blanket in case Josh Allen goes down. Okay, so I think we all knew about the Diggs extension. I mean, that was bound to happen. I mean, that dude is a legit wide receiver one. I know next to nothing on Tavon Austin. I know Jamison Crowder. At the same time, I was shocked he left the Jets. But at the same time, do you really want Zach Wilson as your quarterback? I mean, that's besides me. I don't think you bring in O.J. Howard for tight end depth. I mean, yes, Knox is still your tight end one, but at the same time, O.J. Howard just gives you more depth. And then he brought in quite a bit of O-line depth, even though the Bills' O-line was probably one of the better ones in the league. Actually, probably one of the best ones. I'm still not a fan of the Von Miller extension because you're giving a man that is in his early 30s on probably the twilight of his career a 6-year contract. Here's my thing. Does he play out the contract? I mean, okay, I guess in a way Von Miller's just trying to secure the bag. He's already got the rings. He won one with the Broncos, and then he won one with the Rams this last year. But, I mean, I guess Urinating Tree talked about it in one of his vids. I don't really blame him. I mean, he's won the rings. You're better off securing the bag. I think you got quite a bit of defensive depth here. I mean, and then let's take a look at their schedule. So, okay, I don't really care about the preseason. So, okay, already we got this game right here with the Rams. I think is honestly going to go either way. Tough one to predict, but I'll take the Bills in that one. I mean, that's going to be a great game to see on its own. The Bills and the Rams. And you got two gunslingers going at, well, I wouldn't really call Josh Allen a gunslinger, but if you've seen how strong his arm strength is, that's why I pretty much put him in like a hand cannon tier with like a Stafford or a Mahomes or even a Justin Herbert in that matter. Tennessee, I think, is definitely a win for them. Probably Miami. Baltimore is going to be an interesting one. If Baltimore can stay healthy, then I think, but, well, actually, I'm probably going to say Baltimore is going to be a win. I'll get to the Ravens in a little bit when I get to the AFC North, but, yeah. Steelers, I think, is probably definitely a win. And then, I actually think Kansas City will probably get the win here, but it could go either way. I'll take Kansas City right now, but Buffalo is going to make things interesting, and Buffalo is definitely wanting another shot at the Chiefs after what happened in the divisional round. I mean, because the game goes to overtime, and, well, Bills don't even get a shot at it. I can still remember Pat McAfee going on about that. Packers, well, I'm going to be honest, I think they could probably go on a 3-game win streak here. Packers are still going to be good, but it's going to be interesting to see how they replace Devontae Adams. I don't know. I'm still hearing a little mixed opinions on the Packers. Also, hey, Nicholas. Hey, Javier. Sorry, I just now seen the chat. Yeah, like my laptop, I got like set up right here. And, well, I don't really have anywhere else I can put my laptop, unfortunately. But back to what I was saying, I think Minnesota could be an interesting game, but at the same time, you never know what version of Kirk Cousins you're going to get. Browns, Lions, Patriots. Well, Browns and Lions, I think, are a definite win. Patriots, I think, could go either way, but I'm leaning towards Buffalo. The Jets, I'll think they beat the Jets. The Dolphins could be an interesting one, but at the same time, you know what? I think they win these two. Now, I think the Bengals, people might call me crazy on this. I think the Bengals probably win this one because this Monday night game's got the potential to be a really great matchup, and, well, honestly, I mean, how many games in a row did I pick them to win? I think Cincinnati can pull the upset, and then I think they beat the Patriots, but at the same time, do you sit out Josh Allen in this game? Now, because, like, I think last year on Week 18, if I remember right, I think Josh Allen only goes for, like, one quarter or so, and then they go with Trubisky the second half of the game. So, realistically, I could honestly see the Bills going 14-3, 15-2. So, I'm probably definitely going to put them in that division leader tier. But, like I said, I mean, this would probably be the third consecutive year in the row the Bills have won the AFC East. And I'm going to be honest, the AFC East got a lot tougher this year. And who are we kidding ourselves? I know that division got a lot tougher. So, well, actually, we'll go with the Dolphins first, just because it was next on the free agent signing. So, looking at the Dolphins free agency, I do think they made some, like, really big moves. I mean, I've said it once, I'll say it again. This is going to be a prove-it year for Tua. I think if he flops this year, they will not hesitate to draft a quarterback next year. And personally, I think this is where the Teddy Bridgewater signing comes into play because, let's see, is this year 3 of Tua? Now, I understand new coach, but it's going to be interesting to see what this new coaching staff does, because I think Mike McDaniels, yeah, I believe he was Kyle Shanahan's OC with the Niners, so you could possibly see a similar offense. And then you got actually, you got quite a bit of running back depth here. You got Chase Edmonds, Sony Michel, and Raheem Mostert. But now here's what I find interesting. Can Mostert stay healthy? He seems to have battled quite a bit of injuries, which is why I kind of see why he took the buy low deal in Miami. But he was a free agent to be when he was with the Niners anyway. I think the Alec Ingold signing's an interesting one, but here's the problem. What's he going to be like? He's coming off injury. Now, I know you don't hear the fullbacks much anymore, but he was one of the better fullbacks in the league. Would I possibly put him... Well, I guess I would probably put him in the tier with Kyle Juszczyk or, I can't think of the other fullback's name, but there's another one that's in that tier with Juszczyk. I think Tyreek Hill was the Tyreek Hill trade was definitely going to be an interesting one, because, see, here's where I stand on that. Like, Tyreek wanted to be paid, but the Chiefs couldn't afford to keep him, and I don't think he wanted to leave Kansas City either. But at the same time, you really couldn't afford to keep him. And, well, personally, I think that's why you've seen the Chiefs go wide receiver in the second. Dolphins fan, so I hope they win. Well, I'm going to be honest. The Dolphins did get pretty aggressive in free agency. And the Tyreek Hill trade pretty much backs that up. So, but I don't know, it's going to be interesting because you're definitely getting a downgrade in quarterback, because, like, Tyreek goes from Mahomes, who could throw it deep, to Tagovailoa, who has not shown he can throw the deep ball. But, I don't know, maybe Tua proves me wrong, but I'm kind of out on him on year 3. Okay, and then you got some wide receiver depth here. I personally don't agree with Mike Gesicki getting franchise tag, because in my opinion, you really need to pay him because he is one of the best tight ends in the league, which I'm pretty sure he's going to find that insulting that he got the franchise tag. And then they really got aggressive on the offensive line. I mean, they were able to snag Teron Armstead from the Saints, and he is one of the better tackles in the league. I actually don't know where Connor Williams signed in from. In fact, and then you got some depth on the defensive side, and then honestly, that was another big move the Dolphins needed to do, was re-sign Xavier Howard, because he is one of the best corners in the league, and in a division where you've got, I mean, it's like you got Stephon Diggs, so I mean, I would honestly put Xavier Howard in the same tier as like a Jalen Ramsey or what's the guy's name that plays for Dallas? He's like Stephon Diggs' cousin, and I know he was a corner drafted to the Cowboys that's quickly become one of the best shutdown corners in the league. Well, I guess you got some improvement with special teams, bringing in Thomas Morstead, even though he's not what he was with the Saints. Nicholas, I'll get to the Bucs whenever I get to the NFC South. I'm still on the AFC East right now. But we'll take a look at the Dolphins schedule. So I'm going to be honest, right out of the gate, I mean, you look at weeks 1 through 4, and they got a tough first 4 games out of the deck. Right out of the gates, because you got the Patriots, the Ravens, the Bills, the Bengals. I would not be shocked if they started 1-4 or 0-4. But But at the same time, like, okay, honestly, I think they could beat the Patriots, but that one's going to go either way. Ravens, well, actually, Ravens could go either way. Bills is probably a definite loss. Bengals is probably a definite loss. The week 5 through 7 is kind of interesting at the same time because, I mean, I like what the Jets did in the draft, but I still think the Jets are probably going to be a year away from truly contending. And I think it's all going to... I'll get to the Jets in a minute, but like I said, I think it's going to depend on quarterback and offensive line play. Vikings, I think they could win, but like I said, you never know what version of Kirk Cousins you're going to get. Steelers is probably a definite win. I'll get to the Steelers in a little bit. Lions, I'm actually going to call this one a loss because, I mean, it's like near the end of last season, the Lions were definitely playing hard in every loss, and they actually had a pretty good draft. I just don't remember what moves they made in free agency. Bears, I think, is a win. Browns, I think they can pull that one off. Texans, screw it. I think Texans is a win because I think the Texans are probably tanking for another year, especially because, I could see the Texans tanking. And I know Davis Mills was only a rookie last year, but it'd be interesting to see what he does in year 2. Niners, I think, is a loss. Chargers is probably a loss. Bills is probably... Bills and Patriots. Bills is probably a loss, but I don't know if they beat the Patriots a second time. Packers... I'm actually going to say they beat the Packers, honestly, but I feel like the Packers got worse with wide receiver, and you're probably going to be asking a lot out of, what was that receiver the Packers drafted in the second round? Oh yeah, Christian Watson out of North Dakota State. I mean, with Adams gone, you're going to be asking a lot from him. And then the Jets, I think they probably beat the Jets. I'm kind of in a rock and a hard place on the Dolphins. I personally think, I don't know, 9-8 is probably their ceiling again, but I also wouldn't be shocked if they go 7-10. So, I think for now, I'm just going to leave them in the hunt. Like, I think they're probably a fringe contender, but I don't know if they could win a playoff game. Raiders have Devontae, so they have... Well, I'll get to that in a little bit, because I haven't got to the AFC West yet. Give me 1 second. I said I'd be back in a minute, but I actually, if it's even in here. I had a pot of coffee brewing because I woke up really late today, and I think my mom was down for the weekend. She brewed a cup of coffee, and it was like this vanilla roast, and it's actually pretty good, so I'm like, I guess I can have a cup of coffee. Oh! Digging through my suitcase, and there's where it was. Alright, I am back. Like I said, I know 6 o'clock in the evening's a little late for a cup of coffee, but there was still nearly a full pot left, so yeah. I like a good cup of coffee anytime. I guess that's a little bit of my grandpa coming out in me. I don't think I put enough sugar in there. It's whatever. I added enough cream, though. Alright, so... Where was we? Okay, we were moving on to the Patriots. Okay, so I don't know, the Patriots, I feel like, were a big disappointment last year. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Patriots had the pieces to contend, but if you remember the wild card game against the Bills, let's just say that was 20 years of rage coming out in Buffalo that they took out on their rival that beat up on them when Brady was in New England. Because I think it was like, what, 47-17? And I think Mac Jones has potential, but, well, AFC East isn't a dumpster fire like it used to be. Like, the Dolphins, like I said, you never know what they're going to be like year in, year out. The Bills have pretty much cemented their place as a Super Bowl contender. So, looking at their free agency, I mean, well, you guys know how Belichick is. He's not a big spender in free agency. Why? I've never understood that. So, you bring back a security blanket in Brian Hoyer, re-signing him, which I'd say backup quarterback is always a most underrated position because you always want to have that. You always want to have insurance in case your quarterback goes down or like suspended or something in the case of the Browns, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Hold up a sec. Alright. I don't know. I thought I hit it, made it record before I started. I always try to record a copy of the stream, but anyway, you got running back depth and James. Well, you bring back James White and then bring in Ty Montgomery, whoever that is. So you got depth at running back. You add more depth with wide receiver, bringing in Lil Jordan Humphrey from the Saints, and then trading for Devontae Parker. I mean, Parker is alright, but I feel like he can be better. But at the same time, I guess he is getting an upgrade in quarterback. I mean, I don't know. My mom's boyfriend just walked in, and I guess he didn't know I was streaming. I've had it happen before. So, anyway, you bring in Humphrey from the Saints, trade with the Dolphins for Parker. You re-sign Trent Brown, which that was a pretty good signing. He is one of the best offensive tackles in the league. Then you re-sign James Ferentz. I think that's how you pronounce it. And then you bring in Darrell Williams, so you re-sign 2 of your offensive linemen, bringing another one for depth. Let's see. Then you trade for Mack Wilson from the Browns in exchange for Chase Winovich. Kind of surprised they traded away Winovich because honestly, I think Winovich is kind of underrated. He's good for what he is. And then you bring back Malcolm Butler, which, I'm going to be honest, I was kind of shocked they brought Malcolm Butler back. Because, wasn't it Super Bowl 52 when Belichick benched Malcolm Butler? And then they lost that Super Bowl to an Eagles team led by Nick Foles. And then you bring in Terrence Mitchell, so you got depth at cornerback. Then you re-sign Devin McCourty, which, that's a pretty good signing. Jabril Peppers Jabril Peppers is an odd one to gauge. It's either been scheme fit or staying healthy. And he makes a good special teamer, too, because I believe he was a kickoff returner. Well, I know he was with the Browns and the Giants, but maybe he comes out of his shell with the Patriots, but it's going to be a wait and see with him. Okay, and then you re-sign Nick Falk. He did decent as a kicker last year. ST. What does ST mean? Is that like... Hold up, I'm going to have to look at that one. I'm not sure what an ST is. Oh, special teamer. Okay, so he re-signed. So if I had to guess, if he's a special teamer, he is probably a returner, or he's like one of your up men on the punt team. I don't know, like special teamers can be used in all sorts of different ways if you think about it. I actually quit recording there because it was dropping frames a little bit. But I guess that's par for the course when you record in 1080p. So let's take a look at the Patriots schedule. So, okay, honestly, weeks 1 through 4 do look pretty favorable for them, but like I said before, I think the Dolphins are probably guaranteed to beat them once, because I've always kind of noticed how that rivalry works in division. Steeler, well, I'll give them the win on the Steelers game, but see, here's the thing with the Steelers. Pickett is better than Trubisky, but I think you have to let Pickett sit for a year. Mainly use Trubisky as a bridge quarterback. Because Trubisky, he is not your full-time starter. I mean, he proved that when he was in Chicago. He proved he was not a full-time starter. Baltimore, well, actually, I'm probably gonna give Baltimore the edge here. Because I mean, when that defense is healthy, yeah, that defense is one of the best in the league when it's healthy. I actually think they could beat the Packers. Lions, I think is, well, actually, I'm going to go ahead and give them the win, but I'll get to the NFC North in a little bit, but all I'll say on the Lions for now, it depends how Jared Goff plays. Jared Goff was actually decent in his last few games last year, even though he only won like 2 games near the end. But at the same time, depends what version of him you get. You either get the version of him that led the Rams to Super Bowl 51, or you get the version of him that got him ran out of LA. Which, if I remember right, they had every chance to beat the Packers at Lambeau that year. Also, I'm not making excuses for him, but he was playing with a messed up thumb. Browns, honestly, I'm going to go ahead and give that one to the Patriots, because I'll break it down more later on, but we don't know what the Deshaun Watson situation is going to be like, because that whole situation is a mess right now. And it does not help the AFC North. Well, AFC North is a bloodbath, and you got, like, really good defense. Like, all the defenses in that division are legit. But I'll get to that. I will get to that one in a little bit. Bears and Jets, I think, will probably be a win, but could go either way. Colts is probably a loss, because I do think the Colts... Well, it's so weird with the Colts. Last year they was a contender under Wentz, but then Carson... And I'm quoting Urinating Tree on this whenever he did his video talking about the teams that failed to make the playoffs. He would say Carson Wentz turned into Carson Wentz. I think that was a few things... Well, let's just say anytime Wentz played like absolute crap, that's what he would say. Well, and you guys know about his injury history too. I'm not saying it's Andrew Luck type of history, but, well, I mean, it could be getting close, because I remember his years in Philadelphia, it seemed like he could not stay healthy. Jets again, could go either way. Vikings, I don't know. That's going to be a tough one to decide. I mean, personally, I think the Patriots have the better quarterback. I'm not saying Cousins isn't good, but you never know what you're going to get with him. That and, well, I might have seen a little article where the GM says he didn't like Kirk Cousins, so yeah, I think I might be looking for a quarterback. Bills, I think Buffalo is probably going to have their number this year again. Cardinals, I'm a little 50-50 on Arizona so far. I mean, they'll have D-Hop back by then, but at the same time, this is pretty much a make or break year for Cliff Kingsbury. Raiders, kind of having a tough time evaluating the Raiders, maybe. And then Bengals and Dolphins could go either right. Now, the Week 18 game against Buffalo, that one gets interesting because I guess if the Bills have clinched the division and if maybe they clinch the 1 seed, I could see Josh Allen and several starters sitting out. Meaning if they do, I could see the Patriots getting the edge. It's almost like a couple seasons ago when the Chiefs clinched the number 1 seed in the division and they sat out Mahomes and several starters because Chad Henne started the game, I believe, and I believe that was Justin. Okay, yeah, it was Justin Herbert's rookie year because Chargers won that game, but they were already out of the playoffs because even if they would have won, which they did win the game, but it wouldn't have helped because they were eliminated already and ended like 7-9. So, realistically, with the Patriots, I don't know. The Patriots are kind of an interesting one to decide here. I mean, I think they've got the capabilities of being a wild card team. But for now, I'm just going to stick them in the hunt. Because, like I said, they got several games on their schedule. I think it could personally go either way. So, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. So, now we move on to the Jets, which the Jets free agency wasn't too over the top, but they did have a few low-key signings. I mean, well, they got quarterback depth. Well, if you look, I mean, they brought Joe Flacco back, and then Mike White signs his original round tender, which, if you don't remember, Mike White was most well known for, because if I remember, Zach Wilson was out and Joe Flacco was out, and you had Mike White start the game, and what made his legacy known was upsetting the Bengals. I think I was actually watching that game too. Alright, I'm going to scoot up my chair. So, and then as far as running back goes, Tevin Coleman, you brought him back, which it's a decent signing. Wide receiver is going to be interesting because you lost Jamison Crowder to Buffalo, but you bring back Braxton Berrios, but I really haven't seen too much on him. But I'm going to be honest, who watched a Jets game last year? I mean, I remember the one against the Bengals, but after that, I mean, the Jets were, yeah. Well, and then as far as tight end depth, you brought two decent ones in Tyler Conklin and CJ Uzoma. I'm going to be honest, I was actually surprised Uzoma signed with the Jets, because I figured he would have re-signed in Cincinnati, because I think they got the pieces to run it back. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, maybe he could replicate what he did with the Bengals with the Jets. Well, and then the Jets have offensive line depth, which, if you remember last year, their offensive line... See, it was weird. Their O-line starts out good, but then Mekhi Becton gets hurt, and then the injuries started piling up. So I guess I can see why they went ahead. I mean, well, you re-signed two guys, three of them, and then brought in Laken Tomlinson. And then you brought in some defensive line depth, although I don't know how good Solomon Thomas is going to be, because, well, he was not that good with the Niners, and Quan Alexander's an interesting one. DJ Reed will be Actually, DJ Reed and Jordan Whitehead will be pretty good signings for that secondary, because, well, when you got Hill and Diggs and a couple other speedy receivers in that division, you need all the secondary help you can get. I do think they got worse on special teams with the signing of Greg Zuerlein. Because, well, I'm going to be honest, Greg Zuerlein in Dallas last year was awful. He was not what he was with the Rams. And I somehow figured he was going to decline because, yeah, it's like, if you've seen him in Dallas, he wasn't that good. I know his nickname was Greg the Leg, but Urinating Tree called him Greg the Wide Left Leg. I mean, that's kind of fitting, because like I said, his year in Dallas was just atrocious. So, if we look at the Jets schedule, well, their schedule first 4 weeks is kind of mixed bag. I mean, Ravens should be healthy by the first game, unless they have some type of freak injury happen in the preseason. Browns, like I said, we don't know what the Deshaun situation is going to be like. Bengals, I'm not too optimistic about that one for the Jets. Steelers, I guess it depends how Trubisky plays. Wow. I mean, you look at the Jets' schedule, and they got a brutal stretch. I mean, oh boy. Realistically, I think, like I said, I think the Jets are maybe one more year away from truly contending. And you guys seen that schedule, so I think for now, I'm gonna be honest, they probably missed the playoffs. And you guys seen their schedule. That was a brutal stretch, and they are still a young team. And personally, I think if they're going to have a shot, Zach Wilson not only has to improve, but he has to stay healthy. Same with Mekhi Becton. Because, I mean, Becton is your best offensive lineman by far. And, like I said, I truly think they're probably one more year away from being a contender. Until then, let's see, realistically, honestly, 7-10 or 6-11 is probably their ceiling. But for the most part, I could see 5-12 being a realistic scenario for the Jets. As for the Patriots, on the other hand, they're in a similar boat as the Dolphins, but personally, their ceiling is maybe 10-7, maybe 11-6. I'm not sure. Well, let's jump right into the AFC North. So, not a lot of signings for the Ravens, but I'll say this, they need to get healthy, because last year, near the latter part of the season, their whole defense was practically an XFL practice squad. But you look at their signings, you got an insurance policy in Mike Davis. Patrick Ricard's kind of an underrated signing. He's been kind of a journeyman, but he's still a great fullback. You got offensive tackle depth in Morgan Moses. You bring Calais Campbell back, which I thought that was a pretty good move. And then you bring Josh Bynes and Justin Houston back, so you got 3 of your major pieces on defense back. You bring in Kyle Fuller, and then you get Marcus Williams in free agency. I've never heard of Brent Urban. I don't remember what team he's on. All in all, though, I think it's going to depend if, the Ravens can, stay healthy. Let's take a look at that schedule. Okay, so they got kind of an easy start early on. Worst they could possibly finish with this first 4 stretch is maybe, I'm going to say 2-2. But what's going to make it interesting is the fact that they traded Hollywood Brown to the Cardinals, which, who is he going to have to throw to other than Mark Andrews? Rashad Bateman is still very unproven. Well, and he was injured for a majority of his rookie year. Week 5 through 8. Oh boy. This is going to be kind of interesting because the Giants are in a rebuild, but, well, I'll get to dumpster fire division in due time. The Browns, again, we don't know the Deshaun situation. Bengals will be a tough one. Tampa will be a tough one. Okay, and then here on out, well, I kind of have mixed opinions on New Orleans and the Panthers. Jacksonville, I think, oh boy, they're still a year away from contending. Broncos will be a tough one. Steelers, well, like I said, that is a division rival, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. Browns, well, they could have him back by then, but if he gets suspended and you don't have good quarterback play, they could be too far gone. Falcons, well, Falcons is in a similar situation as the Giants, but, well, I'll break that one down when I get to the NFC South. And then they kind of got a tough one back-to-back, Steelers and Bengals. Realistically, though, I think the Ravens could get back to the playoffs. Personally, I could maybe see 12-6. No, 12-5, 11-6 is their ceiling. But for now, I gotta put them wild card because I don't trust that wide receiver core. Their running game, like I said, you gotta keep your running backs healthy because, you can't just let Lamar Jackson carry the load. And here's another thing. Lamar's playing for a new contract, and yeah, I know, Kira says, oh, they're going to have to trade him. They can't afford to keep him. No, they'll have to re-sign him. If they don't, I think he becomes a free agent, and then he's got probably even more leverage. Or worst case scenario, he gets franchise tagged. Which then you're looking at a Dak Prescott situation because remember, when Dak got franchised, he got injured and he was out for the season. He bet on himself and he still got paid. But I don't know. I think they're a wild card at best, but at the same time, I do not trust that wide receiver core at all. So getting to the Bengals, so I said this Bengals actually kind of went big in free agency, but here's my problem. You gotta pay Jesse Bates. Yes, you franchise tagged him, but you have to sign him long term. I'm gonna say what Urinating Tree already said. Pay Jesse Bates and be done with this shit. That's exactly what he said in his cheat sheet video to free agency AFC edition. I mean, it's kind of insulting enough they re-signed Eli Apple, but well, Eli Apple was decent in some games, but he's not that good if he's your full-time solution. Well, and then the Bengals are finally addressing their O-line. They bring Lyle Collins, Alex Kappa, and Ted Karras. So the Bengals addressed a huge need. They had to bring in offensive linemen. And then as far as the defense goes, I mean, you re-signed quite a bit of pieces. I mean, you re-signed Eli Apple, you franchised Jesse Bates, you brought back Josh Tupou, BJ Hill, and then Michael Thomas. I mean, I think the Bengals are going to be set to reload, and I mean, I know they lost CJ Uzoma, but they brought in Hayden Hurst from the Browns. What does LS mean? Is that long snapper? Okay, yes. I wasn't sure. Special teams should be the same nonetheless. I mean, Evan McPherson was probably one of the best kickers in the league. And when I say he was one of the best kickers in the league, he was probably along the likes of Justin Tucker, Daniel Carlson, Robbie Gould. Then they bring Kevin Huber back, which, I'll tell you one thing, you do not see very many left-footed punters. I just don't really know who the best punters in the league are. Well, I'd probably put Brett Kern in that list with the Titans. I mean, if you've seen his highlights in the wild card game against the Patriots in 2020, I mean, he pinned them deep like twice, down at the 1. Oh wait. So we'll take a look at the Bengals schedule. So honestly, I'd say they've got somewhat of an easy start. I mean, Steelers, I don't want to say Steelers are in a rebuild gear because the Steelers don't tank. I mean, it's obvious they don't tank. Cowboys, well, I'll get to dumpster division in a little bit, but it all goes without saying, I don't trust the fraud that is Mike McCarthy. Honestly, through the first 8 games, I would not be surprised if they're 8-0 or 7-1. Because, I mean, you look at their schedule. I mean, Steelers, Cowboys, Jets, Dolphins. Cowboys are kind of a question mark. Jets are still kind of in a mini rebuild. Dolphins and Steelers, I just don't know what to see out of them. Then weeks 5 through 8, like I said, Ravens, I don't trust that receiver core. Saints are kind of a question mark. Falcons are a full-on rebuild. Browns, I think, well, I'll get to that in a minute, but then going on, I mean, Panthers. Okay, this is kind of probably where the schedule gets a little tough. Because you got the Panthers and you got the Steelers again, which the Steelers will be in most games because of TJ Watt and that defense. Well, and then you got the Titans, but I can't even pretend to be optimistic about them. And then it gets tougher again because you got Chiefs, Browns, Bucks, Patriots, Bills, and then the Ravens. all in all, though, I'm going to be honest, I do think the Bengals win the division again. Because, in my opinion, they're probably the best team in the division right now. They got the wide receiver core. They got a defense. They got good quarterback play. They have a really good special teams play. I mean, the Bengals are like the Bills. They're good all around. If you would have told me a few years ago the Bengals would have been in the Super Bowl last season, I probably would have called you crazy. But the Bengals got a good thing going over there. But realistically, I think their ceiling is probably 14-3, maybe 13-4. At worst, probably 12-5. All in all, I like what Cincinnati's building. So now we move on to Cleveland, which, well, as you can see, they got a long list here. Of course, yes, they acquired Deshaun Watson, but at the same time, we don't know what his punishment is going to be yet. I don't know why they're holding out on that. I keep hearing 6 to 8 games. I keep hearing a whole year suspension. But, well, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I trust their quarterback room if he is suspended the whole year. Because, I mean, best one out of here is probably Jacoby Brissett. I don't know much on Josh Dobbs. And I know Josh Rosen is terrible. Yeah, you know, I still want to understand this. You draft that guy with the 10th overall pick only to abandon him when you draft Kyler Murray. Then Miami doesn't want no part of him. And then he was on the Tampa Bay practice squad. Then he's in Atlanta. And then he's with the Niners. Now he's with the Browns. How is this man still in the league as awful as he is? Wide receiver core. Well, I think the wide receiver core, I don't know. I got mixed opinions on it. I mean, Amari Cooper is good, which, well, I am kind of surprised he only got a 5th round pick and a couple of 6th rounders, but, well, Cleveland doesn't have a lot of draft capital to play with to begin with. Jakeem Grant, I don't know much on him. And then, like, Njoku gets franchised, but at the same time, you really needed to pay him, but urinating tree, whenever he did his haters guide to the 2017 draft, he pointed out that all the tight ends from that group, which was, well, you know, Evan Ingram, David Njoku, and O.J. Howard, none of them have really blossomed yet. I mean, you look at Ingram and, like, he was hated amongst the Giants fans. And then, I don't know, I just feel like Njoku and then O.J. Howard are bound to have a breakout year. Wow, Kira, you're literally letting loose on that. Of course, I'm not really sure. I don't know what your deal is with them, really, but anyway, moving on. So, you re-sign Chris Hubbard. You bring back Jadeveon Clowney. You add more offensive line depth. You trade for Chase Winovich. And then you bring in more defensive depth. And then you gave Denzel Ward that massive extension. But like I said, Ward, he's in the tier with like Jalen Ramsey and those guys because he was like one of the best shutdown corners in the league. Well, okay, I don't understand this with the Browns. It seems like they've had a new punter every year since they cut the Scottish Hammer. I can't remember his actual name, but his nickname was the Scottish Hammer. I mean, Bajorquez was decent, but at the same time, I had mixed opinions on his tenure with the Packers. And then you bring Chase McLaughlin back, and well, he's a decent kicker, but, well, the Browns, their special teams last year was kind of, nah. And yet, I don't know how they had freaking Cody Parkey as one of their kickers one year. Anyway, let's take a look at the Browns schedule, but, well, I'll say this. I don't really have a lot of optimism for the Browns because we still don't know what Deshaun Watson's suspension is going to be. And, well, looking at their schedule for the first 8 games, I would not be surprised if they go 2-6 through that stretch. And only reason I say 2-6 is because you got a Jets and Falcons team that's in the midst of a rebuild. Well, actually, like I said, the Jets are probably a year away from contending, but the Falcons still have a long ways to go. But I get to that when I get to it. And then you look past week 8. Well, their bye week is right after. It doesn't get a lot easier for them because you got a Dolphins team. You don't know what you're going to get out of Tua. And then you got the Bills, the Bucks. Those are 2 tough ones, which maybe you get Watson back, but at the same time, we don't know what his punishment is going to be. Then you got the Texans, which, you know, I'll say this. If they get him back by the Texans game, that's going to be interesting. Could you think of the memes we would see from that if he comes back by week 13? And then you got the Bengals, the Ravens, Saints, Washington, and the Steelers. Yeah, that's... To talk about... Like I said, if, say, you got him suspended for 8 games... I'm going to be honest. Say, for example, he gets an 8-game suspension, and you go 2-6 through that stretch, like I said. I say if you have a losing record between now and then, the damage might already be done. I hate to say this, but I don't see him making the playoffs. And here's my stance on the Deshaun trade. In my opinion, you are going to get value from him, but at the same time, I still think they gave a little too much for him, especially because you don't know what the situation is. Cleveland now has to go through what the Steelers fans did with Ben Roethlisberger when he had all those rape accusations on him. Because, hold up. Let me see if I can pull that up for anyone that doesn't remember it. Okay, because, see, if you remember this, back in 2008, Steelers fans had to deal with the same thing the Browns fans are dealing with now. Because this was back in 2008 when he was accused of sexual assault, and, yeah, like I said, and Urinating Tree even said that in his video, that the that Browns fans are now doing with what Steelers fans did back in 2008. Wondering what the punishment is going to be for their quarterback. And then, I don't know. And another reason I just don't feel... And here's my stance with the Browns. They screwed Baker Mayfield over royally. Like, they had him convinced he was going to be their guy. And what do? They trade for a quarterback that is probably either going to be suspended half the season or all of the season. I just... Hold up. I'm sorry, I gotta do this. I have to do this.
Hey Browns, Mike Polk, season ticket holder. Killer game in Houston today.
Well, thank God we built you. What a blessing for the community.
You are wasting valuable space on our majestic shoreline, and what do we get out of it from you? 10 miserable games a year, including 2 preseason games that I have to pay for, and 1 shitty Kenny Chesney concert. Do you understand that it is actually statistically harder for a team to be this consistently bad than it is for them to occasionally accidentally be good? The probability is staggering. Did you happen to see that Packers-Chargers game today? It's like they're playing a different sport than you are. are. And here's what you have to understand. We don't even expect you to be good. We just want you to be watchable. Do you have any idea how low our expectations are? We don't expect you to win the Super Bowl. We just want you to look better than a Division III high school team. And listen, I know that there are way more important things in life than football, but you are supposed to be our pleasant distraction from those things.
But all we do is pay you money to put us in a bad mood every week.
You are a factory of sadness! I'll see you Sunday.
I mean, what can I say? That's the Browns in a nutshell this year. Because you don't know what they're going to be like, and it's just... Yeah, you don't know what they're going to be like, and that video pretty much sums it up. I'm sorry, I had to do that. I'll say this, that meme's pretty funny, though, now that you think about it. But, yeah, I think they're going to completely miss the playoffs, just... Anyway, back on track, let's get to the Steelers, and... Well, the Steelers actually made kind of big a move. I mean, notable one was probably bringing in Trubisky, but at the same time, I somehow figured that, they were going to draft a quarterback just because Mitchell Trubisky is not your long-time answer. I mean, okay, granted, I'm just going to go off topic for a minute. Granted, he was a massive, massive reach, trading up one spot to get him. And, you know the funny part? You know the Browns almost considered trading him. I bet they're glad they took Myles Garrett instead. It was either you take a quarterback that was very raw, or take a more proven prospect at pass rusher. Browns actually did make a smart pick that year. I mean, well, like I said, Myles Garrett was arguably one of the best prospects that year, coming out of Texas A&M. Okay, and then you claim Miles Boykin off waivers. Boykin was decent with the Ravens, but he's just not that impressive. You bring Okafor back, and offensive line is... Well, last year, you know how bad the Steelers' O-line was? They now got to experience what the Bengals fans experienced with not just Joe Burrow, but Andy Dalton as well. Well, and then they bring in offensive line depth in James Daniels and Mike Cole. They add to the defense with Miles Jack, Jannard Avery, and Larry Ogunjobi. And then you have a couple more re-signings in the secondary. Okay, as far as Minkah Fitzpatrick goes, I knew he was getting paid. I mean, that dude, you have to pay him what he's worth. Funny thing about that, Dolphins let him go. Dolphins probably wish they still had Minkah Fitzpatrick back. And then, well, their return game will be interesting too. I mean, you lost Ray McCloud, but you gained Gunnar Olszewski. I think I pronounced that right. He was good with the Patriots. I don't know if he'll be used as a receiver with the Steelers. He was with the Patriots, but... Well, now that's how Ray McCloud started out. He started out as a returner, and then they used him on several plays. Steelers, their schedule, it's interesting early on, but strength of schedule is kind of 50-50. I think their defense is going to be what keeps them in games, but if we're talking first 8 games, I could possibly see them going 4-4, but, well, that just depends how the Jets game goes. Well, they could beat the Patriots, too. So I'm going to say 4-4. Yeah, either 4-4 or 4-3 is going to be their ceiling. Something like that. Okay, and then after their bye week, gets a little tougher. Saints, like I said, you don't know what you're going to get out of Jameis Winston, but you got Will Lutz and Michael Thomas healthy. Bengals, Colts will be an interesting one. Falcons, do I even need to say it? Ravens could go either way. Panthers, Raiders are an interesting one. And then the last two could go either way. As far as I'm going to put the Steelers in the hunt right now, but I'm going to be honest. Even if Pickett doesn't start a game and it's Trubisky the whole way through, because like I said, Pickett probably does need to sit for a year, similar to what Mahomes did. But the Steelers' defense is too good to tank. That'll be what keeps them in games. But it could be a situation in which they score with their defense and their run game more than they do with their offense. Yeah, there was a high school team I covered that was like that one year. They scored more with their defense than their offense. Well, and their run game as well. Hold up, give me 1 second. Alright, I just had to go get a bottle of water. I was getting kind of thirsty. So, alright, so where was we? Okay, now we're on the AFC South. Or as I like to, well, I don't want to call them tank division, because there will at least be one team from that division that's going to make the playoffs. Oh boy. So, why don't we start with probably going to be the worst. Well, I don't know if they'll be the worst because you still got Jacksonville in there. We'll start with the Houston Texans. So if you remember, and there's a big meme whenever, like Pro Football Focus did like their thing to determine what every team needs. The Texans needed everything. They needed everything bad. But you look at their free agent class, they look like they went all out for a team that's going to be in a rebuild. So, I mean, wow, talk about you really did need everything. I do think Davis Mills is going to be the guy, but at the same time, you do have an insurance policy. You got Jeff Driscoll, Kyle Allen, Kevin Hogan, so... Oh, actually, I did not know Jeff Driscoll was already with the Texans. Oh boy, I don't know how optimistic to feel about that running game, though. I mean, a lot of these guys I've never heard of. I've heard of Marlon Mack, but not the other two. Well, and they still have David Johnson, too, so you got depth. David Johnson, I know he's washed, but the games he can stay healthy, he's not bad. Okay, so you bring back Chris Conley. Bring in, I've never even heard of Chad Beebe. You extend Brandon Cooks. You bring in tight end help with Pharaoh Brown. So, I mean, I guess your wide receiver core will still be the same. And I know Yanovich is a fullback, but he's a decent one. But he's a journeyman nonetheless. Well, you re-sign Justin Britt, and you bring in 2 offensive linemen for depth. Then you re-sign Malik Collins, trade for Blake Cashman. Then you re-sign Gruger Hill and Hewitt and Kirksey. So you brought back a majority of your defense, and the Texans actually stayed competitive in quite a few games. So yeah, they really made a splash in free agency. But let's take a look at that schedule. I'm not really feeling very optimistic about the Texans this year. So, well, you look at their first 8 games. Honestly, they got a chance to possibly be 500 or so. I mean, like Raiders and Chargers are probably definite losses for them. Same with the Colts and Broncos. Well, hold up. Ooh. Yeah, you're kind of thrown in the fire the first 2 weeks because you got the Colts and the Broncos back to back. So, well, and then the Bears are still rebuilding. Chargers, I think, are pretty much back. Well, even if unless the Chargers decide to charger. That's a little joke they make for them choking. Jacksonville, well, still in a rebuild. I think they can beat the Titans, though. So, yeah, I think they're probably going to be below 500, probably for sure, because I probably, first 8 games, I could probably see Houston going, let's see. I could see them going 3-5 the first few games. And then you look from there, you got Eagles, they could go on a winning streak here. They got the NFC East in back-to-back-to-back games. Could go either way. I mean, Giants are rebuilding. I'll get to my opinion on Carson Wentz in a little bit. And the Eagles, all I'll say is this: I don't think Jalen Hurts is the full-time solution. Well, they could possibly beat the Dolphins as well. I think. I don't know about the Browns though. Well, I'll put it to you this way: if Deshaun's playing, I think that game's a loss. But if he's not, I think it's a win. Dallas could go either. I'm leaning towards a loss on that one. I mean, the Texans' defense will be better, but at the same time, I think Dallas probably has the better pass rushers. Chiefs is probably a loss. I would not be shocked if they sweep the Titans, because I think the Titans got worse this year. Well, okay, honestly, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I see the Texans. I could see them I'm going to put them and miss the playoffs, but the way their schedule looks, if the Texans play their cards right, they could possibly get in as a wild card, but they're going to need a lot of pieces to fall their way if that's going to happen. So let's get to the Colts, which not a lot of moves, but I think the biggest move they made was the Matt Ryan trade, which he is finally free from the Falcons. He should have been freed from there years ago, but Matt Ryan does have that albatross contract, and he is a big upgrade from Carson Wentz. And then you bring in Nick Foles as an insurance policy. Well, and then you gotta... And And then you got Jonathan Taylor at running back, but you bring in Philip Lindsay as an insurance policy. And then Mo Alley Cox at tight end. You re-signed him. That's a good signing. And you re-signed 2 of your offensive linemen. Then, where I think they got aggressive on defense is where they traded for Yannick Ngakoue. That was a piece they really needed, even though you still have like DeForest Buckner. And then I know Stephon Gilmore's not what he was, but he's still a decent piece. Then you re-sign Zaire Franklin. I've never heard of this cornerback right here they brought in. You bring in Rodney McLeod, Tyquan. Like I said, you re-sign Tyquan Lewis. Honestly, the Colts are looking like the team to beat in that division this year. But let's take a look at their schedule. So, right out of the gate, I say it's 50-50 as far as schedule goes, because you got the Texans and the Jaguars. You got a tough one. You got a tough one against Kansas City, but they could win that one. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what the Chiefs look like, because the Chiefs did lose quite a few pieces. So, and then you got the Titans. Broncos is going to be a tough one. That's going to be a really tough one, actually. You got the Jaguars again, Titans again, and then you got Washington. So, realistically, if they play, I'm going to say 7-1 or 6-2 is their ceiling for first 8 games. Because, like I said, they are perfectly capable of beating Kansas City. They could beat the Broncos, but Broncos, like I said, are going to be much improved with Russell Wilson instead of Teddy Bridge quarterback or Drew Lock. Then after week 8, you got the Patriots, the Raiders, Eagles, Steelers, Cowboys. Oh, their bye week is way off. Vikings, Chargers, Giants, Texans. I'll be honest, I think the Colts could be a legit contender, and I see them winning the AFC South by a landslide. Realistically, you look at their schedule, I'm honestly going to say 13-4 or 12-5 is their ceiling. And they got a lot better at quarterback, because Matt Ryan's good. I know Foles is serviceable in short doses, but, well, it's a decent. Well, I mean, it'd be better than having Sam Ehlinger or Jacob Eason. And I am very vocal about Sam Ehlinger, because, and here's the thing. I'm an OU fan, so with him being a Texas player, yeah, that's why I didn't like him. But I did enjoy the memes. Back when it was Ehlinger and Tom Herman, let's just say Texas football then, you could make so many memes. You can make even more memes with Steve Sarkisian at the helm. So, moving on to the Jaguars. So, pretty overwhelming signings. I mean, okay, first of all, I think you probably gave way too much money to Christian Kirk, and I don't even know who Zay Jones is. I know he was with the Raiders last year, but that's way too much money to give him. It's like pretty much the only way you can get players to Jacksonville is by brutally overpaying for them. And I don't know if either of those guys can be a wide receiver one. Same goes for Laquan Treadwell. And Laquan Treadwell was, well, I'm going to be honest, he's barely hanging on in the league because he was kind of a bust with the Vikings. He was very underwhelming in Atlanta. Evan Ingram, I can't even be optimistic about that one. Okay, you did re-sign Cam Robinson, and you got Brandon Sheriff, and you re-signed Tyler Shatley, so you got offensive line protection for Trevor Lawrence. You've made some improvements with the defense, but looking at these contracts, like I said, pretty much for Jacksonville to get anyone, you have to brutally overpay to keep anyone in Duval, and unfortunately that's how it is. Okay, I know I don't really care about the preseason, but I did not realize the Hall of Fame game was Raiders and Jaguars. Actually, let me see when that one is. Oh, I'm gonna be out of town that day. I gotta head to the city on Tuesday. Yeah, probably won't be back till like Friday. I don't know. I mean, looking at their schedule, I mean, well, you do got a tough one, but Washington's winnable. Colts and Chargers are probably definite loss. Eagles could go either way. Texans, I think, are going to be improved. And, yeah, well, Lovie Smith was a decent coach with the Bears, and he did get the Bears' defense good enough to contend for a Super Bowl, so it'll be interesting to see what Lovie Smith does in Houston. First 8 games, I don't think it's looking good for Jacksonville. Because, well, Giants are probably winnable. So, realistically, you're probably looking at a situation where they go 2-6 or 3-5. And then after that, it's where it gets even more brutal because you got Raiders, Chiefs, Ravens. Lions are still kind of the outlier in my opinion. Titans, Cowboys, Jets, Texans, Titans. And like I said, they are still in the midst of a rebuild, so for that reason, I think they missed the playoffs completely. If we're being honest, 4-13 or 5-12 is their ceiling. I'd be very shocked if they go 6-11 or 7-10, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Doug Peterson because he got the Eagles turned around, but he also was responsible for their destruction his last year when they went 4-10-1. So, I don't know. Let's get to the Titans. So, well, they do got some depth signings, but thing is, they cannot seem to keep wide receivers or tight ends. So, well, you re-signed Dontrell Hilliard, which, well, in case Derrick Henry goes down again, you got depth. Robert Woods was a decent pickup. Austin Hooper and Jeff Swaim. You got depth at tight end. You re-signed your center. Brought in another offensive lineman. Re-signed Harold Landry to an extension, which, well, I mean, he needed to be paid because he was an anchor on that defense. And then you re-signed Buster Skrine. Wait, hold up. Wasn't Buster Skrine the one that retired? I can't remember. Titans player retired. Oh yeah, it was. I don't understand. You re-sign him, but then he retires. So you might as well cross that one off. And then you re-sign your long snappers and kickers, so your special teams are looking pretty stable. And Randy Bullock actually had a decent year in Tennessee, but let's take a look at that schedule. So, oh boy. Just like the Jaguars, they got a tough one, but you got some winnable games. Unfortunately, I do think the Titans probably got worse than last year, and I mean, well, their schedule does lighten up past week 15, but the damage could possibly be done. So, as far as Titans go, I'm probably going to put them in the same boat as the Texans. They might win again. I don't know if I can trust that defense. You re-signed some decent pieces, but that defense and that wide receiver core has a long ways to go. So, let's get to the most brutal division of the AFC, and that is the Denver Broncos. I'm going to be honest, the Broncos might be my dark horse this year, and they went all out this year because they acquired Russell Wilson from the Seahawks, which I've been saying for a couple of years, get Russell Wilson out of Seattle, because Pete Carroll won't let him do his thing. He won't get him an offensive line or run game that will actually do anything. And then you bring in insurance policy and Josh Johnson. And then you bring Melvin Gordon back. And then the only problem is you did have to give up Noah Fant. But you did re-sign Eric Saubert, so you do still have a quality tight end. And then you re-signed two of your top linemen in Calvin Anderson and Cameron Fleming. And then you brought in two more for depth signings. The Randy Gregory signing was probably a really good one for that defense, and the Broncos already had a stacked defense. Then you bring in DJ Jones, you re-sign Deshaun Williams, and then you bring back, and then you have quite a bit of depth signings here, and let's take a look at that schedule. But like I said, the Broncos, they're going to be contenders this year. I am looking forward to this game, the Seahawks game. Ooh, and it's Monday night. Wait. Ooh, let me look at my schedule real quick. I don't know if I have anything going on the 12th. I think I do, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't. Well, I do have to go cover a softball game that night, but I should be home in time to catch the Seahawks game. What is 6:15 Mountain Time? So that, well, game is at 4:30. I should be back home in time if the game has a 7:15 kickoff. Yeah, I think I can deal with Troy Aikman and Joe Buck long enough to watch that game. But hey, it's Monday Night Football. So you got the Seahawks, the Texans, the Niners. I think could go either way. Raiders. I think they could split with the Raiders personally. Colts, Chargers, Jets. Realistically, they could start the season 8-0 seems realistic, but at the same time, I'm probably going to say 6-2 because I do think the Niners and Raiders game. Well, no, wait, actually, hold up. Actually, 5-3 sounds more realistic. So Chargers game could go either way as well. Ooh, that one's also a Monday night game. Oh. I haven't had one of these in forever. Oh boy. These do get kind of messy as well. So, Yeah. 5-3, 6-2. Those seem both realistic. I'll be right back. Oh, forgot my phone. I'll be back. was I? Okay, yeah, we were looking past week 9, so... And you got the Titans, the Raiders again, Panthers, Ravens, Chiefs, Cardinals. Yeah, this division's going to be... realistically, I wouldn't be shocked if 3 teams from this division make the playoffs. Like, I would not be surprised at all. Honestly, though, and I know I'm probably going to get a little bit of backlash right now, but I actually think the Broncos are going to win the division. I actually think that there's going to be a team that's not Kansas City that wins the division this time. Because like I said, I mean, the Broncos were heavily aggressive in free agency. And I know they didn't have a first round pick this year, but they were still aggressive in the draft in the later rounds. So yeah, I would not be shocked if the Broncos win the division. Now let's get to the Chiefs. So as you can tell, they were also kind of aggressive, but well, here's my problem with the Chiefs. I think their wide receiver core is probably going to be a little worse this year, especially because, well, when you drafted Sky Moore in the 2nd round, but you're going to probably be expecting him to be Tyreek Hill right out of the gate from the word go, and I don't know. But you got running back depth. You re-signed Jarrett McKinnon and then brought in Ronald Jones from Tampa. And then you got an insurance policy by re-signing Chad Henne. Corey Coleman. Hold up. If this is the same Corey Coleman I'm thinking of. I can't remember if this is the one that played for the Giants that requested a trade. Let's see. Baylor stats. Career. Well, how do I view... Wait, hold up. No, actually, I may just go to Pro Football Reference. Pro Football. That actually might be the better one, because I actually don't remember who Corey Coleman is. If this is the same one from the Browns... Is this the same one I'm thinking of? Okay, yeah, I'm not liking this signing because, well, and I'm gonna give you a reason on why I do not like this signing. Okay, if I can find the clip, I just want to find the short version. Well, wait, no, actually, I think this was on one of Urinating Trees vids. Revisiting. Okay, here we go.
Raiders in a...
If I can find it. You guys will see why I'm not a fan of this signing. I gotta go way back to find this. Oh wait, no, this is the part where he makes fun of Eli Apple.
Exactly the type of material you spent.
Okay, here we go.
The Cleveland Browns select Corey Coleman, wide receiver, Baylor.
Why am I running second team?
What you say?
Why am I running second team? That's crazy to me.
Go get started and go ask time. And then come back and give me.
If you don't want me to play, why won't y'all just trade me?
How long he hasn't been playing in this league, he'll be begging for scout team.
The Detroit.
That is a big reason why I'm not liking this signing. Because I remember how his tenure with Cleveland went. He was running second team. He didn't want any part of it. And he's already... Well, it didn't help when you had Hugh Jackson as a coach as well. Well, other than that, and then you got Juju, which... I know everyone in the chat's saying that's a horrible signing, but the games he can stay healthy, he's not bad, but... Well... I don't know. I personally don't think he's going to be a long-term solution in Kansas City. I'm not sure overpaying for Marquez Valdez-Scantling was a good idea either. He was decent. He was kind of average in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. Then you bring Blake Bell back for depth. I'll tell you a funny story. When Blake Bell was at OU, they called him the Belldozer. Because before he switched to a tight end, I know he wasn't the starting quarterback, but they would use him in packages on quarterback keepers before he officially moved to tight end. You franchised Orlando Brown, but you gotta pay him. You have to pay him what he's worth. Then you re-signed Austin Ryder, even though that's mainly a depth signing, because, well, oh man, I done forgot his name now. Oh yeah, Creed Humphrey, because he was your starter, and I am very biased about that because he is a former OU player. Well, you bring and then you re-sign Frank Clark. You bring in Carlos Dunlap for depth. I can't pronounce this guy's name, but you bring him in on a free agent deal. Actually, no, you re-sign him. Well, then you bring in Justin Reed, which he's likely your Honey Badger replacement. And, well, you trade for this guy, but I've never heard of him. Let's take a look at the Chiefs' schedule. So, right out of the gate. Oh, wow. Wow, you really gave the Chiefs a gauntlet. First 7 games right out of the gate. You got all playoff teams. You got the Cardinals, the Chargers, Colts, Buccaneers, Raiders, Bills, and the Niners. Well, oh boy. Well, I could see them beating San Francisco and maybe the Raiders. I'm not sure about the Bills. I don't know if they can beat the Bucs or the Bills. Colts, I think they probably beat them, but I also think the Colts could win it. Chargers. Oh boy. Good God, they gave the Chiefs a gauntlet right out of the package. So actually, first 8 games. Okay, week 8's a bye, so that's why I had to go to week 9. Wow. So, I think Titans are a definite win. Niners, I think they beat the Niners. Bills, probably not. I think they split with the Raiders, honestly. Ooh boy. I could see them going 4-4 maybe. 4-4 or just wow. And then, well, it doesn't get much easier from there. Outside of a gimme game against the Jaguars, you got the Chargers, the Rams, Bengals, Broncos. Well, and then you got got 2 easy ones against the Texans and the Seahawks. Then you got the Broncos and Raiders. Wow. They really gave the Chiefs a gauntlet. Well, actually, we're gonna come back to that one because I want to look at what the Raiders got right now. So, you re-signed Derek Carr, and you got insurance policies in Garrett Gilbert and Nick Mullins, and then you trade for Jarrett Stidham. Remember a few years ago when everyone thought Jarrett Stidham was going to be the guy after Brady left? Well, then you got running back depth in Amir Abdullah, and Brandon Bolden. You probably got a little worse at fullback. This is a sign I think the Raiders are going to really be pushing to contend is Devontae Adams. And you re-sign and you extend Hunter Renfrow, and then you bring back more wide receiver depth, and then and then tight end depth and Jacob Hollister. And then you re-sign Max Crosby. You bring in Chandler Jones. The Raiders are definitely being aggressive in free agency. Let's take a look at their schedule for the most part. I know Nicholas says they have to have leverage to be a contender, but we'll just see what their schedule says. Well, first eight games they got kind of a mixed bag, but they got honestly, I think they're gonna split with the. I could see them. I don't know. They could either split with the Chargers or they're gonna sweep them. I think they beat the Cardinals just because I don't trust Cliff Kingsbury. Titans, like I said, I think Titans are in for a rough year. I could honestly see the Broncos. I don't know. Broncos could go either way. I think they could. I wouldn't be shocked if they swept Kansas City this year. Yeah, but here's the problem. Regardless of what the Raiders have, Derek Carr is still probably 4th best quarterback in that division. Because I would probably put Herbert ahead of Carr. Yeah, this doesn't really help that this is a year the AFC West plays against the NFC West. I wouldn't be shocked if you have 3 playoff teams out of that division. I want to take a look at the Chargers real quick. As far as the Chargers go, you got depth signings. You acquired Khalil Mack. I think J.C. Jackson and Kyle Van Noy was good signings. But here's my thing. Kira, I am going to disagree with that just because I think the Broncos were way more aggressive in free agency. You can say Devontae Adams was an aggressive move all you want, but I think going and getting Russell Wilson was probably the best move they could have made. But I don't know. I still feel like the Chargers are missing something, but I don't know what. And my thing is, Brandon Staley's got to be not so analytically conservative, because that's the kind of crap that gets coaches fired. Looking at their schedule, though, let's see. You got the Raiders and Chiefs to start out. Then you got the Jaguars and Texans. Well, actually, they could possibly go 3-0 in this stretch. And I am only saying that because we don't know the Deshaun situation with the Browns. But, Actually, the Chargers and Browns wide receiver core are kind of in the same category. You got the Broncos, the Seahawks. Actually, you got 2 give-me games right here on Week 7 and Week 9 because both those teams are in a long-needed rebuild. You got the Niners, the Chiefs, the Cardinals. Ooh. Well, one of these teams is going to have to miss the playoffs, and you know what? I'm going to put Chargers in the hunt, but I would not be shocked if the Chargers missed the playoffs, because it's like last year. They were in contention until the very last game. I'm going to go ahead and stick Raiders and Chiefs both in wild card, but in all honesty, it's probably one of these teams is going to miss the playoffs. Right now, I think the Broncos are probably the best team in the division because they were heavily aggressive in free agency, but it's just, like I said, it's going to be interesting. Oh boy. Now we get to Trash Division, aka the NFC East. So, you look at the Cowboys. So, well, you re-signed Michael Gallup, even though I think they gave him way too much, and he's coming off of an ACL tear. James Washington's not a bad signing. Steelers probably should have kept him, but I can see why he took a buy low deal in Dallas. Jeremy Sprinkle is alright, but he has not been that impressive lately. Actually, I do want to look up his stats real quick. I actually don't really remember his stats. He only started 4 games, played in all 17. Yeah, see, now I'm not really too impressed with those. I mean, he was targeted 3 times and only had 31 yards, so I'm assuming he was mainly used as a goal line threat tight end. Because, I mean, you look at his career, he had one really good year in Washington where he was targeted 40 times and had 26 receptions for 241 yards. Other than that, well, and then you look at I guess playoff stats are even worse. Wow. Yeah, that's why I said he's kind of underwhelming. But, and then you franchised Dalton Schultz, but I think you have to pay him what he's worth. DeMarcus Lawrence, you brought him back. That's a step in the right direction. And then you got a few depth signings. You bring Van Der Esch back, but here's the thing. Can you actually keep Van Der Esch healthy? Because that dude has had a bad injury history. Same with Malik Hooker. That's one reason why the Colts didn't want him. Because he can't stay healthy. Then you bring Curse back. You got your long snapper back on the veteran minimum. And then, well, you got your punter back, which Brian Anger's not bad. He's just been kind of a journeyman. DJ Fluker. Hold up, I actually got to look this one up because I don't think DJ Fluker is a name I have not heard in a while. What is SDG? Oh, that's Charger. Well, he's a journeyman, and I Well, and I have very mixed opinions about offensive linemen that are journeymen because they usually wasn't too good to begin with. Okay, so let's take a look at that Dallas schedule. So, well, so you got, oh wow, well, you got the Bucks and Bengals to start out. They're home games, but they're, oh, I actually didn't realize they had the Bucks as their opener again. So you got Bucks, Bengals, Giants, and Washington. Okay, Washington is definitely a winnable game, but who am I kidding? Giants is definitely a winnable game because the Giants are in a rebuild, and I think Daniel. Well, I'll get to the Giants in a little bit. Rams. Ooh, I think that one's probably a loss. Eagles. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Eagles is a win, but I still don't think Jalen Hurts is your guy. Lions. I'm actually going to say the Lions game is going to be a loss. It's going to be interesting to see what they do because the Lions did have a good draft, and they did get the wide receivers they needed. Bears is definitely a win. I mean, I want to see Justin Fields succeed, but he's kind of in a situation where he's set up to fail. So, kind of a so-so start. And you got Packers, Vikings, Giants again, Colts, Texans, Jaguars, Eagles, Titans, Washington. Well, their schedule gets easier down the stretch. Like, I think they could beat the Packers at Lambeau this time. Vikings, well, Vikings is probably a win. Giants are probably going to blow it up after this year. Unless Daniel Jones can prove himself. Colts, probably a loss. I said this one could go either way. I'm leaning more towards Dallas. I think NFC East is going to have their first division repeat winners since... Hold up, I actually got to look this up. Because NFC East has not had a repeat winner in a while. Okay, there has not been a repeat division champion since 2004, and if I remember right, actually it was the Eagles, because they won that NFC East 4 years in a row before the Giants broke that streak. Huh. You know, I actually forgot that the Giants was a wild card the year they won the Super Bowl in 2007, because that was the year. Okay, yeah, Dallas won it that year. So getting to the Giants, let me be honest, I'm really not impressed with a lot of these. I understand why you bring in Tyrod Taylor, but at the same time, I don't think he's your starter. I mean, he's more of a veteran backup at this point, so... yeah, the Giants did not have a good free agency. And I probably can't pretend to be optimistic about that schedule either. So, okay, honestly, they probably beat the Titans, probably lose to Carolina. I could see them beating Dallas. I doubt they beat the Bears. Well, This one gets interesting. I'll give it to the Packers, but this is a London game, so. And you got Ravens, Jaguars. I think they beat the Jaguars. They could beat the Ravens, but they're going to have some things go their way. Seahawks is probably a win. Texans and Lions and Cowboys, probably a 3-game losing streak. I think they beat Washington. I actually think they could sweep Washington. But it depends at the well, actually, no. I think they'll split with Washington because that defense will keep them in games. I think they'll probably split with the Eagles. And I think they probably lose their last 3. Or, wait. Or no, maybe they lose to the Eagles here. And say maybe they beat the Eagles here to keep them from making the playoffs. Yeah, honestly, I think the Giants are completely missing. Because that whole roster is atrocious. And I don't think they keep Daniel Jones past this year. Eagles, on the other hand, I like the move. I kind of like the move bringing in A.J. Brown, but I don't think that's going to be enough. I mean, you re-sign Derek Barnett, you release Fletcher Cox, only to bring him back. Then you bring in Hassan Reddick. I've never heard of Kaiser White. James Bradbury's a decent signing. Boston Scott, he had a good year. And you bring in Greg Ward and Zach Pascal, 2 guys I've never heard of. You bring Jason Kelsey back, but he isn't getting any younger. Oh. Wait a minute. Jaquiski Tart. Wait. Hold up. Is this the guy that dropped the pass? I think that's the... If I remember right. If I remember right. Okay, if I can find it. Okay, here we go.
Feeling the pressure tonight.
This is what he's known for.
Stafford airs it out. Jefferson downfield. He's picked. No, dropped.
I mean, how do you
Unbelievable.
drop that easy
A drop by Jaquiski Tart, and he cannot believe it. Jaquiski Tart.
Yeah,
This is the desperation throws that we've seen in each of the 2 games by Matthew Stafford. I don't know if he's injured, but he hasn't had enough arm to really get the ball out in the 2 prior games when he's tried.
I mean, whatever it is, it's anything by me. I said, well, as I was saying, well, you missed it the first time, Kira, but I said I have very mixed opinions about journeyman offensive line players, because usually if an offensive lineman's a journeyman, he usually isn't that good to begin with. Anyway, let's take a look at that Eagles schedule. Their signings were very underwhelming outside of bringing in James Bradbury from the Giants. Well, I'm going to probably go ahead and say the Lions game is a loss. I don't know how much better their defense is going to be, but their offense will be improved. Vikings is probably a loss. I think they probably beat Washington once. They probably beat Jacksonville, lose to Arizona, lose to Dallas, bye week. I think the Steelers probably get an easy one here. And I think they probably beat the Texans. And then I think Washington gets their revenge here. Probably lose to Indianapolis, lose to Green Bay, beat the Titans. I think they beat the Giants here to probably keep their playoff hopes alive. Probably beat the Bears, lose to Dallas. I'm probably going to say New Orleans is a loss, and then this one will probably be a loss. Realistically, I'm going to put the Eagles in the hunt, but will not be shocked if they miss the playoffs. They could get in as a wild card, but they're probably going to lose a game that they not supposed to lose. And then we get to the now known Washington Commanders. So I'm not a big fan of this move. Getting Carson Wentz, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if he's an upgrade from Taylor Heineke, to say the least, because I actually thought Heineke did good in a couple games. So, Washington trades a package to the Colts for a 7th round pick. Okay, wait, no. They get a 7th round pick in Wentz in exchange for a 3rd rounder for a 2022 3rd rounder and a 2023 3rd rounder, which can convert into a 2nd rounder based on his snap totals. And and I do remember they swapped 2nd round picks this year. That's how you know Wentz is washed up, when you can't get better than a 3rd rounder for him. Then you thought J.D. McKissick was going to go back, sign with Buffalo, and then he returns to Washington. You pay Terry McLaurin, which you had to pay him, because McLaurin was kind of the guy that you really needed as far as your wide receiver core goes. You bring in Cam Sims, whoever that is. You bring back Lucas, one of your offensive linemen. And you bring in more offensive line depth in Trey Turner and Andrew Norwell. You re-sign your center, and then you re-sign Bobby McCain, and then you bring in what's hopefully your solution at kicker in Joey Sly. Oh, speaking of kicker, I do have to bring this one up, because this is too funny to not bring up. Okay, if I can find it. Okay, here we go.
Chris Blewett, his first NFL game was last week against Green Bay. Hit one and had another one blocked. This from 45, and that one is blocked. Wow. So Chris Blewett, 2 of his first 3 field goal attempts in the NFL are blocked, and they get nothing out of this drive. The Washington football team coming up empty on...
Oh, wait, this wasn't the one. I'm trying to find the one where, the guy from Red Zone roasted him. I think this is it.
So, Washington, new kicker today, Chris Blewett. And, yeah, well, you saw it right there. No good. Looked like a line drive. I wasn't going to say it. You're all thinking it at home. I get it. Chris Blewett, the new kicker, with a miss. Someone got a hand on it, it would have appeared. We stay tied at 7.
So, in a word, basically, Chris Blewett literally blew it. That's what I was trying to find. Wait. Actually, I want to see if he signed with anyone. No, he's still a free agent. Personally, I don't know if any team is going to sign him after his performance in Washington. So, a few underwhelming signings, but a few major re-signings for the Commanders. I still can't believe they chose that name. So, regular season, well... You got kind of a mixed bag here. You got the Jaguars, the Lions, Eagles, Cowboys, Titans, Bears, Packers, Colts. Oh wow, their bye week. Oh wow, their bye week's not till way later on. Well, there's some winnable games on here, but with them having Carson Wentz at QB, they're probably going to find a way to screw it up. And looking at their schedule, there's a few games on here they probably can't afford to lose. And, well, I'm going to be honest. honest, I actually think they missed the playoffs. They'll be in the hunt briefly, but I just don't see them making the playoffs. So let's get to the NFC North, or, well, this division's pretty much become a giant meme. So, the Bears make a few signings and acquisitions, but nothing too overwhelming. In fact, I'm going to be honest, if Justin Fields gets hurt again, I do not feel optimistic about this quarterback room. Because Trevor Siemian did decent in New Orleans, but he's not, I don't even think he's a serviceable backup. And then out of all the options, you choose to bring in Peterman or Nathan Peterman. Speaking about Nathan Peterman, I'm not going to show you guys the full video, but I do want to show how Urinating Tree describes him at first.
Let me speak a name. Let me speak a name. Tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Nathan Peterman. I firmly believe that you can come up with a few words. Legendary ineptitude, interceptions, terrible, why is this guy in the league? And I get it, Nathan Peterman's professional career has been completely laughable to this point. But this video is going to be a little more than just pointing and laughing at the guy. I want to do a bit more of a deep dive.
Okay, that's pretty much the only part of it I wanted to show you guys, but yeah, that's pretty much how, like, Urinating Tree describes him. And I think the only reason, like, he was wanting to see Peterman succeed because I believe Urinating Tree is a Pitt fan. And guess who he's seen a lot of at Pitt? Nathan Peterman. See if I can actually find his lowlights, and I'll show you why I think that was a bad signing. Lowlights. Defensive Player of the Week. Well, you guys, anyone's probably seen this one where he throws 5 picks against the Chargers. I think a couple of them were pick sixes. Oh, wow. Hold up. I actually want to look at this. This is the parody they did of the top 100. And this is just a meme.
I was a big fan, to be honest with you. I was a coaching intern. I just followed him around and watched him. He had a magic about him.
Nathan Peterman today signed with the Oakland Raiders.
When I started coaching him in Oakland, we nicknamed him the GOAT, the greatest of all time.
Peterman picked off! Joseph! And he will go! Touchdown!
He's smart, really. He knows pretty much all the defenses and all the coverages. He knows what's coming before it comes.
This is on, and Peterman's throw. And that's another takeaway for the Bears. Leonard Floyd with a touchdown.
Brings the blitz. He's got time, though. The wobbly throw is intercepted on the play. Picked up by Jefferson.
He's a guy that's extremely intelligent. He knows where he wants to go with the football.
On the outside. 6 defensive backs, and one of them just picked him off. Brandon Carr. He's got room. He gets a block, and he takes it deep into Buffalo territory. Did he get in?
He can throw on the run. He can throw standing still. Anyway, he is throwing it. I mean, he's throwing it exactly where he wants to go. It's just pinpoint accuracy.
Knows how to be a pro. Could be last play of the first quarter, and it's picked off. The first incompletion thrown by Peterman through the hands of Ivory. Intercepted. Peterman. And that's picked off the ground. Kyle Fuller has an interception again. Here we go. Pass, tip, and intercepted by Ramsey.
Well, whatever. You guys get the message. Peterman is terrible. Well, and you're not helping your wide receiver core any. I mean, I'd say only the Falcons have a worse wide receiver core than this. I mean, and this is how you know N'Keal Harry was a bust. He was a first-round pick, and they got a 7th rounder for him. Byron Pringle's okay in short doses, but not as your full-time wide receiver one. I'm not sure how I pronounce this. It's either Equinimate. You know, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name because it's kind of a mouthful. He was good with the He was good with the Packers, but even then, he was barely a wide receiver 3 with Green Bay. Never heard of these two guys. I've actually never heard of these guys. You return Ryan Griffin as depth along to help Cole Kmet in the tight end core. Well, and then you bring in James O'Shaughnessy for tight end depth. Not really a fan of the Riley Reef signing because I think he's been a journeyman, I think. Oh. I think. Well, he was in Detroit the first few years of his career. Well, yeah, I think he's pretty much a journeyman because he was in Detroit these years, spent a couple years with division rival Minnesota. He was in Cincinnati for 1 year, but he was not that good. Trust me, I remember. That's why Burrow was always running for his life. And then, well, I'm not sure how good I'm not sure how good these two guys are. Oh, wow, you got a bunch of underwhelming signings overall. Oh, this could honestly be a rough year if you're a Bears fan, if we're being completely honest. Oh, wow. Wow. I'm going to be honest. First 8 games, Bears will be lucky to win 2 games. Because Patriots, Cowboys, Washington, Giants, Vikings. Well, I say they could beat the... Well, no, I picked Houston to win that game. Yeah. Wow, they might actually start out 0-8 if they play bad enough. They may start out 0-8. Then you got Dolphins, Lions, Falcons, Jets, Packers, Eagles, Bills. Oh, wow. I see maybe a couple games on here the Bears could win. I think maybe... Oh, wow. Okay, you know what? They're not even making the playoffs. They'll be lucky to win 2 games. Jets and Falcons are only games they could win. But thing is, just... You look at their roster overall, and that is abysmal. Like, just... You can't name me a more laughable situation. And look at these look at these signings and trades. 95% of these are so underwhelming, they could probably make it in the USFL. Yeah, that's probably worst team in that division, hands down. Now let's get to the Lions. So, well, most of these are underwhelming to say the least, but there are some quality signings. DJ Chark is probably in a better situation than he would have been in Jacksonville. And like I said, Lions needed receiver help bad. You re-signed Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond, even though they were underwhelming. Bring in Garrett Griffin. You re-sign Evan Brown. You re-sign Charles Harris, even though he's really not that impressive. Alex Anzalone's a decent re-signing. And then you bring in a few new names. You re-sign Tracy Walker and CJ Moore. But here's what I'm interested to see about the Lions. If Jeff Okuda can stay healthy. Injuries seem to keep him from performing. And then you got insurance policies for Jared Goff. if he either gets hurt or he just flat out sucks. I think I kind of see hope for Goff, but at the same time, I don't even know who their offensive coordinator is. I know they fired Anthony Lynn, but they should have never hired that guy to begin with, because Ben Johnson. It looks like this guy they promoted from within. So says here he originally joined the Lions as an offensive quality control coach before serving as a tight ends coach, and he added responsibilities in the passing. Like I said, they should have never hired Anthony Lynn, because that... Okay, he made the playoffs in LA once, but... Well, he was kind of exposed as a head coach. Okay, so if we look at the Lions' schedule, well, they kind of got an easy one to start out. Eagles, Washington. I think they probably split with the Vikings. Well, I wouldn't be... I say they'll split with the Vikings, but I wouldn't be shocked if they sweep them either, because, like I said, you never know what you're going to get out of Kirk Cousins. Patriots, I think, could go either way. Cowboys, I think, could be an interesting one. Dolphins are probably winnable. I could probably see them upsetting the Packers for a game, but I don't know if they sweep them. That could probably be the one game they win that they're not supposed to win, but overall, I do not see them sweeping the Packers, barring an injury to Green Bay. Wow. I'm actually not going to be surprised that the Lions are a wild card, honestly. Because their schedule's kind of favorable for it. But for now, I'm going to put them in the hunt. But I don't want to throw them in the wild card conversation just yet. Because we don't know what exactly the NFC West is going to shape up to be. Okay, next we get to the Packers, and okay, so we all know about the extension he signed over the next 3 years. The new deal drops with his 2022 salary cap hit of about $18 million, but here's the thing. How much longer does he play in Green Bay? Because Jordan Love can't sit forever, but hold up. I can't remember how long Rodgers sat behind Favre. How long did Rodgers sit behind Favre? Well, he sat behind him for 3 years, and this is going on year 2 of Jordan Love. He's still a little raw at best, but... Well, actually, Steve Young sat behind Montana for a while. Well, Young sat behind Montana for 4 years. I could see it working either way, but it'd be interesting to see how it unfolds. So Lazard gets a new deal. You bring in Sammy Watkins, but he's really not that impressive. Of course, you drafted Christian Watson out of North Dakota State, but ultimately, I think Lazard's probably going to have to step into that wide receiver 1 role. You bring back Robert Tonyan. Then you re-sign Devondre Campbell and Preston Smith. And then you re-sign Jair Alexander and Rasul Douglas. And those are 3 really big signings. And you bring in Jaron Reed as depth. And then, well, actually, special teams couldn't have got worse. You bring in Pat O'Donnell from the Bears. And he's a decent punter. My question... Yeah, I think Mason Crosby's still under contract. I mean, I know Crosby kind of had a bad year, but I could see him bouncing back. But that Packers defense, I think it could be what keeps them in games, if we're being completely honest. So, but I don't think they're going to have as good a record as they have, and I do not see them clinching the 1 seed this year. Because let's see, you got the Vikings, Bears. I still think they're going to sweep. I think they probably sweep the Vikings. I'm just going to say that right now. Bears are probably going to be a sweep. I think Tampa probably beats them again, but it seems like Brady's had Rodgers' number. They probably beat the Patriots and the Giants, the Jets, and Washington. I don't see them beating Buffalo. I think this is where the Lions probably upset them. Dallas probably gets a win. I could probably see Tennessee. Then I think they beat Tennessee, Eagles. They beat the Bears again. I do not see them beating the Rams. I think Dolphins could possibly get them, but I'm really not sure. And then I think they beat Minnesota and Detroit. I think they win the division, but they're not going to be a 1 seed like years past. And thing is, they may be a divisional round team at best. Lastly, we get to Minnesota. So, Cousins signs a 1-year extension, but I think he's maybe got 1 more year in Minnesota before they try to trade him. And then they re-sign Sean Mannion as an insurance policy. But my thing is, do they keep him at backup quarterback, or do they finally promote or do they promote Kellen Mond to backup? That'll be interesting to see. Then you bring in Albert Wilson for wide receiver depth. Then you bring in a couple offensive linemen for depth. Then you bring in a couple new names on defense, including... I thought Zadarius Smith was a big-time signing for them. I don't really understand the Patrick Peterson re-signing. I mean, he's decent, but I thought he fell off a lot last year. Greg Joseph and Jordan Berry, I mean, you bring back both your kicker and punter. Decent signings, to say the least. But is it enough for them to make the playoffs? So, oh boy. Well, they got a tough one to start out. Packers, Eagles, Lions, Saints, Bears, Dolphins, Cardinals, Washington. I wouldn't be shocked if they got a losing record to start out, but Cardinals could go either way because Cliff Kingsbury is a fraud and I don't trust his coaching style. Bills and Cowboys are... well, they could possibly beat the Cowboys again, but Buffalo is a definite loss. These two get interesting. I think the Lions will probably sweep them. Colts could go either way, but I'm leaning towards Colts. Giants probably a win, but damage might already be done by this Week 18 game. I'm going to say they missed the playoffs, but they might be in the hunt briefly. Now we get to the NFC South. So we'll start off with the Falcons. I see they got quite a bit of signings. I can't really be optimistic about Mariota. I mean, at best, he's a bridge quarterback, but at the same time, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets benched for Desmond Ridder. Cordarrelle Patterson and Damian Williams are good depth signings. I actually figured I don't really see how Cordarrelle Patterson's a running back. The guy's more of a wide receiver return specialist, but he's like Deebo Samuel. He was actually Deebo Samuel before Deebo Samuel became a thing. Actually, don't remember what all teams Patterson played for. But I know he's been kind of a journeyman, I think. Okay, yeah, he was in Minnesota his first 4 years. Then he had 1 year stops with the Raiders and the Patriots. He was in Chicago for 2 years. And then he re-signed with Atlanta, so yeah, I'd say he's a journeyman. And then, let's see. Ooh, well, and then you got a couple no names right here. I actually don't even remember hearing of this name. So you got quite a few no names at receiver and tight end. Anthony Ferkser, Demir Bird, Brian Edwards, Kaderil Hodge, Auden Tate. Can't pronounce his name. Oh, offensive line, you really didn't do much. I mean, I like how you extended Jake Matthews, but Jermaine Ifedi, there's a reason that guy's been a journeyman. Never heard of Elijah Wilkinson. Extending Grady Jarrett's a point in the right direction as far as building the defense, and then you got quite a few new names to the defense. Oh, and then you re-sign Eric Harris, but that whole defense is in a rebuild. Younghoe Koo, I knew he was going to get the big bucks, one of the league's best kickers. I'm actually kind of shocked Bradley Pinion left Tampa Bay, but at the same time, he's got a Super Bowl ring. I think he's pretty much just trying to secure the bag. And then you got a new long snapper. So, actually, hold up. As far as the wide receiver core goes, yes, you did draft Drake London, but he was kind of a massive, massive reach. Hold up. I actually want to pull up Urinating Tree's summary of the draft, because he actually brings it up in this video.
This video will age poorly.
I can find it. And he's not wrong when he on this description.
So fucking terrible.
The Atlanta Falcons select Drake London.
Oh.
Wide receiver.
Okay.
USC.
Falcons fans may bitch about this pick, but here are some names to consider. Olamide Zaccheaus, Auden Tate, Demir Bird, Kaderil Hodge. That was Atlanta's wide receiver depth chart before this pick. This may have been a slight reach, but it was a desperate, desperate need. Even if Matt Ryan is gone, I can't exaggerate how important it was to pick a wideout here. The offense can't just be Kyle Pitts. London will be expected to take a big role out of the gate, and they'll get plenty of chances to do so. Atlanta's starting a much-needed rebuild. Time is on his side there.
I mean, he's not wrong. All you really had was Kyle Pitts and then what tight ends you brought in as depth signings. And as far as scheduling goes, well, you got the Saints, the Rams. Those are probably definite losses. I'm going to go ahead and say the Browns are a win if Deshaun is suspended. If he's not suspended, it's a loss. If he is, it's a win. Because I can't trust that Jacoby Brissett or Josh Rosen or Josh Dobbs is going to be consistent enough. Tampa Bay, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Carolina, Chargers, Panthers again. Those are losses. Bears. This one's gonna be a full-on tank bowl if we're being honest. Washington, I think Wentz probably pulls one out of his ass to win. Pittsburgh, probably a loss. This is a definite rebuild, and I can't be optimistic about that quarterback room. Mariota could start out, but at the same time, I wouldn't be shocked if Ritter gets snaps, but at the same time, at the same time, I don't see room for development with this situation. And, well, I wouldn't... Well, they could be buyers at the deadline, too. Trade deadline's always interesting to see, but I don't know. In a situation like this, if you're tanking and it's at the trade deadline, you're pretty much just buying at the trade deadline. If you're a contender, usually a sell... I don't know, there's a borderline between buyers and sellers and a team that's just desperate to tank. Realistically, either 3-14 or 2-15. Honestly, 3-14 is probably their ceiling, but I don't know if I see 1-16 as a possibility. 2-15 at the lowest. Would be very shocked if they are anything above 4-13. I don't care if they get Jimmy Garoppolo at the deadline. Not even Jimmy G could help. That's how bad it is for them right now. And we get to Carolina, which Carolina could be an interesting one here. They say there's going to be a quarterback competition, but in my opinion, Baker's easily best quarterback in that room because Darnold can't stay healthy, and he's proven that, well, I think the Jets pretty much ruined him. And then Baker is probably easily better than Matt Corral out of Ole Miss and P.J. Walker. Then you got a couple new names and a couple re-signs here, so never heard of this guy. You got Rashard Higgins from the Browns, also one of Baker's former teammates. DJ Moore was a decent extension. And then you re-sign Brandon Zylstra, even though he didn't do a lot. And you re-sign Ian Thomas. You bring in Austin Corbett from the Rams. Bradley Bozeman at center will help. I think they also drafted, who was that guy they drafted at the 6th overall pick? Okay, Ikwonu out of North Carolina State. That's actually a good pick, and that was a desperate pick that they needed. So you got him. You went after Bozeman and Corbett in free agency. You got a couple new names to the defense, even though Ioannidis is more of a journeyman. Never heard of Corey Littleton or... Okay, I think I've seen Marquise Hayes out there a little bit. And you re-sign Dante Jackson, Justin Burris, Sean Chandler. You bring in Xavier Woods. And as far as special teams go, you bring back Zane Gonzalez, and then you bring in Johnny Hecker from the Rams. As far as scheduling goes, and I think the Panthers could be a contender. To start off, okay, you got the Browns, the Giants, Saints, Cardinals, Niners. I could see them starting 5-0. I'm really looking forward for this game. In fact, I'm going to be honest, if I can get this game, I kind of want to do a live reaction to it. Rams, I think is... And then I think this is where... And I think they probably... Well... I don't know. Rams, I think, is probably a loss. Same with Tampa, but I think it's competitive. Falcons, those two are wins. Bengals, I think they could probably beat the Bengals. Ravens is probably a win. Broncos is probably a loss. Seahawks is a definite win. I think they could probably beat the Steelers and the Lions. Lose to Tampa, beat New Orleans. Honestly, I think the Panthers are a wild card. I don't think they can win the division because you got to beat Brady twice, but at the same time, the Panthers have the schedule and the pieces to make a run at it. And we get to the Saints, which not really a lot here. I like that you bring Winston back, but I think they're a year away from contending. Dalton, I think, is more of an insurance policy. Jarvis Landry and Jarvis Landry's a good depth signing. Traquan Smith, you got him back on the cheap. Then you bring in Nick Martin for your center. I don't remember where Malcolm Brown played at. Taco Charlton, I don't expect him to be a starter at all. Actually, I want to pull up what Urinating Tree said about him. Because I remember he mentioned him in his video about the draft in 2017. And it was back when he was still in Dallas.
This video is proudly...
If I can find it. Here we go.
Cowboys select.
Here we go.
Taco Charlton, defensive end, Michigan.
To think that Drew Pearson talked all that shit to Philly a day later only to watch the Cowboys overlook several premium talents for alleged scheme fit. The only needs Taco filled were having an awesome first name and being cut from the team in several years. It was a marriage from hell. Dallas hated Taco and the feelings were mutual. Ever since his release, he's bounced around as a backup for a few teams. The only relevance Taco has in the NFL are on Tuesdays.
Oh yeah, and he was a massive reach because I don't think he was even favored to go in the first round. And he's been a backup and journeyman ever since. Never heard of this guy. PJ Williams re-signing was a decent one. And you got Marcus May back. Unfortunately, I don't think Daniel Sorensen was a good signing. I think the Honey Badger is still a good... I think the Honey Badger still got a lot left in the tank, but Daniel Sorensen... Yeah, he did not do that good in Kansas City last year. The Saints are kind of a weird team to gauge. But, well... Okay, they probably got an easy win on week 1, but then I think they dropped... Well... I say they dropped 3 straight, but the Vikings game could go either way. Seahawks is probably a win. I don't see them beating Bengals or... Well, they could beat... Well, they could catch Arizona sleeping. Raiders... No, that's a loss. Ravens, probably a loss. Steelers is probably a win. I think they might be in the hunt briefly, but they are not a playoff team. As for Tampa, well, we know Brady came out of retirement. You re-signed Blaine Gabbert as an insurance policy. Then you got Leonard Fournette back, and then you signed Giovanni Bernard as depth, and then wide receiver... Well, Godwin first gets the franchise tag, but then he gets paid. Then you got a depth signing in Russell Gage and Brashad Perriman. I don't know why they really needed to bring in Julio. I'm sure Nicholas is probably going to say it's a good signing, but at the same time, I don't really think it is. Because at the same time, he's not going to be a wide receiver 1 when you got Chris Evans. And then you bring in Kyle Rudolph after Gronk retires. Then you re-sign Josh Wells, acquire Shaq Mason in a trade. You re-sign Aaron Stinney, re-sign Ryan Jensen. But here's where it gets interesting with Ryan Jensen. Here's where it gets really interesting. So, Ryan Jensen... He's expected to miss 6 months after a left knee injury. And personally, it could be a while before they get him back. As you can see right there. They got a 3rd round pick who converted from right tackle to center, and honestly, that might be the guy. So you re-sign him, but he's going to be out. Then you re-sign William Golston. You bring in Akeem Hicks. You re-sign Carlton Davis. You bring in Keanu Neal as a depth signing. Then you and Logan Ryan. And then you well, this is their long snapper, but you bring him back. Well, and then I think they probably got the easier end of the schedule, maybe. Well, you got the Cowboys, the Saints, Packers, Chiefs, Falcons, Steelers. Wow. I'm going to be honest, I would not be shocked if the Bucs start out 10-0. Oh, wow. I think they probably do lose a game they're not supposed to lose, but you know what? I mean, they're going to win the division, and they probably sweep New Orleans this year. I mean, what else is there to say about Tampa? And they probably get the 1 seed this year, too. Now we get to the NFC West, last division on here. So, okay, I like what they did, bringing Colt McCoy back as an insurance policy. James Conner, Darrell Williams, both back. Darrell Williams more as a depth signing than anything. I do see why they had to bring Marquise Brown back, or Hollywood Brown, because, I mean, why you had to trade for him, because with DeAndre Hopkins suspended, you did need a receiver to fill the void. Then you re-sign A.J. Green and Zach Ertz. And then Max Williams as a depth signing. Then you bring veteran Andy Lee back. Which, Andy Lee's getting up there, but he's showing no signs of slowing down. And you re-sign a couple of your defensive players. But I don't know if it's going to be enough for them to win the division, unfortunately. Because, like I said, I think this is a make-or-break year for Cliff Kingsbury, unfortunately. And they've got a tough one to start out, because they could beat the Chiefs, honestly. Raiders and Rams will be a tough one. Carolina, oh boy. Well, I wouldn't be shocked to... Well, they gave them a tough gauntlet, but nonetheless, I think the Cardinals are going to be in the hunt, but I don't want to put them in wild card just yet. Rams, well, Stafford and Kupp get an extension. Allen Robinson, that will be a big signing with the departure of Robert Woods. You re-sign Noteboom and Allen and Aaron Donald. You bring in Bobby Wagner as a depth signing. You acquire Troy Hill in a trade. And then you bring in a new punter in Riley Dixon. Well, if we're being honest, I really don't even have to take a look at the schedule. The Rams, honestly, I think the Rams possibly win the division again. I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves. The Niners, a lot of signings, but it's going to be interesting because, well, if you haven't seen the latest video of the whole Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo situation, I believe Shanahan confirms that they are moving on to Trey Lance, so I either expect Jimmy Garoppolo to be relegated to backup duty or he's going to be traded or cut. So, well, you extend one of your running backs. Well, you re-sign and extend 2 of your running backs. Then you bring in wide receiver depth and Marcus Johnson, Ray McLeod, and Malik Turner. Then you bring in tight end depth and Tyler Kroft and Ross Dwelly. And you got quite a bit of defensive end depth and a couple re-signings. Okay, I am really shocked you got Kemdichi back in the league because, well, I'll let your alternating tree describe this one. Because I don't really know how I can describe this guy.
Arizona Cardinals select Robert Kimdichie.
Dude could just never adjust to the NFL level. Be it injuries, ineffectiveness, or lack of conditioning, Kimdichie never was able to generate anything outside of bad headlines. There's a reason why he's out of football.
I'm honestly shocked this guy's back in the league, honestly, because, I mean, he never, like, adjusted, but, well, he got back in the league, but he's more or less a backup. Ooh, actually, these are pretty good. This one was actually a pretty good signing, getting Charvarius Ward. Looking at their schedule, though, if we're being honest, I do... Oh, crap. Hold that thought. I need to plug up my laptop. Battery's getting low. Okay, I do have a plug-in down here. There we go. So, start out, you got Bears, Seahawks, easy 2-0. Broncos, Rams, Panthers are probably 3 in a row. Then, well, these two could go either. The second game with the Rams, I guess, could go either way. Well, I'm honestly gonna put the Niners as a wild card right now, but that could change. And then we last but very least get to the Seahawks. So a lot of signings, but I don't know if I can be optimistic about their QB room. I mean, Drew Lock, Geno Smith. If that don't spell Tank Bowl, I don't know what does. Then you re-sign Rashad Penny, bring in Marquise Goodwin, you extend DK Metcalf, bring in Will Dissly, Noah Fant will help. Then you got a couple depth signings with Kyle Fuller, Austin Blythe. You acquired Shelby Harris. And then you signed Quentin Jefferson, Al Woods. You got Uchenna Nwosu from the Chargers. You got Artie Burns, but I don't know if he can stay healthy, and he is kind of a bust. And you got a couple depth signings, and you have Quandre Diggs extended, but I don't think the Seahawks are going to be a contender, unfortunately, because, well, they might win a game or two they're not supposed to, but if we're being honest, I shouldn't even have to break this one down, because the Seahawks are part of the definition of Tank Bowl. And what quarterbacks could they be tanking for? Quarterbacks to watch. Wait. Hold up. College quarterbacks. Yeah, like, I'm not sure. Okay, here we go. So, I mean, who are you going to be tanking for? Bryce Young? CJ Stroud? And then after that, well, I'm not sure if any of these other guys would be worth tanking for. I mean, this is kind of an underwhelming QB class. Well, ooh, I'm actually kind of surprised Rattler. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to talk about Rattler because as an OU fan, well, I have very mixed opinions about his tenure here, and it's just... Yeah, you don't want to know what I have to say about Spencer Rattler. It's just... And OU fans felt the same way about him. that's a very underwhelming class. So, as far as division goes, AFC, I've got Bills, Bengals, Colts, and Broncos. My wild card teams right now appear to be Baltimore, Vegas, Kansas City. I'll go with that. But then in the hunt, I've got Dolphins, Patriots, Steelers, Chargers. Then for my NFC teams, I've got Dallas, Green Bay, Tampa, and Los Angeles. My wild card teams right now, I got Carolina, San Francisco, and then that last spot, I think it's going to be between the Lions and the Cardinals. Missing the playoffs just barely. I've got Houston, Tennessee, Washington, Minnesota, New Orleans. And then, well, I don't even know if I can be optimistic about these teams. The Jets, Browns, Jaguars, Giants, Bears, Falcons, Seahawks. I just don't know if I can be optimistic about that. But, moving on, let's get to the tier that's probably going to trigger a lot of people. But, hold up a sec. Hold up. I want to see if I can find it real quick. I got a sound effect I'd like to play. It's from one of Tom Grossi's podcast episodes. Okay, if I can... Okay, here we go. That's why I have my, thing pulled up there. Here we go.
It's the off season.
Okay, I got it. Okay. So this is what it was.
It's the off season, which means it's time for lists and making people angry.
Yep, you got it, Tom Grossi. Okay, so I think as far as elite goes, I mean, obviously, you gotta include like the likes of Brady, Rodgers. Even though Rodgers has rubbed people the wrong way, you still have to respect his greatness. Let's see. Why do I not see Josh Allen on here? Oh wait. Obviously, Allen has proved himself as elite. And you definitely gotta get Mahomes and Wilson in there. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot. I made Deshaun Watson his own tier. Get it? Because he's likely going to be suspended, so that's his own tier right there. So, that pretty much makes up the elite room. So, well, oh yeah, I guess I can put Stafford up in there. I mean, I don't know why people was doubting Stafford, but when he was in Detroit, it's like everyone called him Stat Padford. Burrow, I think, is getting close to there, but he's more or less elite. Same with Kyler. Garoppolo, I was kind of debating where I was going to put Garoppolo, but I guess I'll put him up here. Cause see, here's my stance on Jimmy G. He's good enough to be your full-time starter, but he's not great, he's not elite, he's just kind of your run-of-the-mill quarterback. Let's see. Ryan's great, but I don't know if I'd put him in elite. Mac Jones, for now he's average, but I do see potential for him. Like, I don't want to put him in the unproven territory because we've seen most of what he is. But I know, like, most of the rookies I will put in a... This is why I put unproven / rookie, because these are, like, rookies, and I hadn't seen quite a bit. I hadn't seen enough on them to make that evaluation yet. So that's why you see me putting guys like Ritter, Howell, Pickett, like Trey Lance and whatnot. So Cousins, I have to... Well, I don't want to put him in trash tier because he's good enough to win you games, but he's not good enough to get you to the promised land. Lamar, I probably should put in elite, but I feel like he has to, like, take that next step. But he's getting there, and he wins 80% of his games. What's this one? Is that Trevor Lawrence, I think? Okay, yeah, that was Trevor Lawrence. I couldn't see the number underneath his arm. Lawrence, I'm going to go ahead and put in unproven because, I mean, I'm going to be honest. He had to deal with the bullshit of Urban Meyer. It's... yeah. Jones... he's good, but unfortunately I have to put him in trash tier because he can't stay healthy. And like Urinating Tree says, he's a Ryan Fitzpatrick type. He's good enough to win you games, but not consistent enough to be your full-time starter. Wentz, you already know where I'm going with that. Herbert is getting close to being elite, but I feel like he's got to take that next step. Baker, I mean, I'm a big Baker fan. I loved him when he was at OU, but unfortunately, until I feel like he's got a lot more to prove the haters wrong, so I do kind of have to put him in that tier with, like, Garoppolo. Jameis, well, normally I'd put him trash tier, but he did show signs of improving before he got hurt in New Orleans. Trubisky, well, I kind of have to put him in trash tier. He showed signs of improvement being Josh Allen's backup, but I'm not a believer in Trubisky. Davis Mills, well, I think we've seen most of his ceiling, but for now I'm going to put him in average. I don't know, he kind of gives me Matt Schaub type vibes, if we're being honest. Goff, normally I'd put Goff in trash tier, but he showed signs of improving. So for now, I'll put him in average, but that's going to be subject to change. Carr, I'll come back to that one. Hold up, I couldn't tell which one that was, but then I realized it was Malik Willis. Darnold. Yes, okay, people are going to make the argument for Darnold. I don't care. The Jets pretty much ruined him, and he hasn't been the same since having to deal with Adam Gase. Tua, I feel like it's going to be a make or break year for him. Drew Lock, I don't even have to put him in average or unproven. Tannehill, well, average at best. Dak, I could probably put in that good tier, but I feel like he still needs to take the next step. I'm probably gonna get, well, okay. Wilson's not good, but at the same time, he is kind of unproven, and he was hurt, so maybe he takes the next step. I mean, they are building around him, which I guess is a good thing. Wait, which one's that? Oh, Fields. Fields unproven. Carr, well, Carr has been able to overcome his dysfunction. I'm really not sure where to put Tyrod Taylor, personally. Because, well... well, he's good enough to win you games, at least. Hurts... I have a hard time figuring out where to put Hurts. And, you know what's funny? Yes, he played at OU for 1 year, but I did not like him when he was at OU. Well, I just haven't liked him in Philadelphia either, and I don't know. I know a guy that's an Eagles fan. He seems to be bought in on Hurts, but I don't know what. I don't know why he's high on Hurts, honestly. Well, I guess average, because he hasn't been bad enough to put him in trash tier, but at the same time, I don't know. I may get some backlash for this one, but unfortunately, I have to put Mariota in this one because, okay, he won playoff games in Tennessee, but I feel like they were kind of a fluke because, okay, if I'm just gonna pull this up for example. So, I mean, if you look at his years in Tennessee, 3-9 his rookie year, but I guess I could make the argument that year because he did have an offensive. He did have Ken Wisenhunt as an offensive coordinator, and well, according to Matt Leinart, that guy was the quarterback killer. 8-7 in Tennessee, not much better. 9-6, 7-6, 2-4 before he got benched, and then he started one game in Vegas, and I'm gonna be honest. I think the one game he started in Vegas was a fluke, and that was only because Carr got hurt. I don't think he won that game. Well, no. Wait, that was a Thursday night game, wasn't it? Mariota, Herbert. Yeah, because it was a Thursday night football game. Yeah, see, he didn't even win that game. Herbert won it in overtime. But it's like he's shown struggles to stay healthy because I can't remember which one of these years it was, but he took a big, big risk playing with the shoulder injury. Looking at his playoff wins, okay, he makes the playoff. This is when he won a playoff game, but Kansas City did choke in the wild card game, and that was the last year Alex Smith was the quarterback. 2019. He made an appearance in this game, but he made an appearance in these games, but mainly as a running role, because Tannehill was already a starter, and that was the year the Titans fluked their way to the AFC Championship because they beat a Patriots team that probably shouldn't have won the division. They beat a Baltimore team that way overachieved. Actually, they underachieved. But kind of, I don't know. It depends how you look at that 14-2 Ravens team. But either way, I said either team probably was not going to beat the Chiefs that year. And, yeah. he just hasn't done much enough to prove he could be a starter, and just I have no idea. And he's a bridge quarterback at best. I actually seen Teddy Bridgewater wasn't on here. I would have had Bridgewater an average tier anyway. Good enough to win you games, but not consistent enough to be a full-time starter. And if he hadn't got hurt in Minnesota, he's probably still the quarterback there. But it's like he pretty much took a gamble on himself, if we are being honest with ourselves. Okay, I couldn't. I was trying to get my just chatting overlay back up there, but yeah, that's pretty much how my tier list went. Actually, I am going to save these real quick. Alright. And I am going to pull up my tier list in case anyone from the stream missed it. Okay, where was the other one? Oh, crap, I didn't even save that one yet. Alright, yeah, I have to save these real quick. Alright, so now image, oh wait. Oh wow, I forgot I had this one as my just chatting overlay. It's of Leon S. Kennedy from Resident Evil. I think this, okay, yeah, that's his Resident Evil 4 look, but I mainly use this overlay a lot, if we're being honest. Okay, so image. Yeah, I actually like it. Oh wait, I download, so... Okay, so... Okay, so if you missed it, this is my playoff predictions, and then if I can find it real quick, if I can pull it up real quick. Hold up. I want to make sure I'm getting the right one. And then, oh boy, that one's a little bit bigger than the other one. And then that is my QB tier list. Now, I know I'm busy quite a bit during the NFL season. Well, I say that, but like Monday Night Football, I never know if I'm covering a game or not. And then same with Thursday Night Football, which I might actually turn my Prime membership back on, because I forgot Amazon has the rights to Thursday Night Football, but like, I know, for example, there will be a couple Thursday night games I will not be able to do, because I do have a couple high school football games I'm on the road covering. Okay, if I can find it real quick. Yeah, I keep actually, what am I doing? It's easier for me to pull it up on Google Docs. Yeah, I use Google Docs for pretty much most everything. Okay, so I know there are many Thursdays I've got football games to cover. I know, like, I got one on September 1st. Then let's see what other weeks. So September 1st. Then, ooh, I actually have one on the 29th as well. Actually, I got 2 high school games to cover that night. One on the 29th that week. Well, actually, there's several weeks I got multiple. And then in October, well, I don't have one to cover on the 6th, but I don't know how late, because I'll be out of town that week, and I don't know how late I'll get back to wherever I'm staying, because I got state tournament that week. And the same could, ooh, actually, I won't be able to do it on that next week either, because not only do I have a softball state tournament that week, I have a football game to cover that week in the city. It's fall break that week for a lot of schools, so yeah. Oh, and then what do you know, oh, actually, no, it's the week after I'm out on Thursday night again, and then after that, I'm pretty much available unless a random one comes up. Essentially how that's gonna roll. But, yeah, I do stay pretty busy. I enjoy doing what I do, and I still make time to do streams, but I'm hoping to maybe do a little bit of more like NFL content and whatnot this year, but it would be all on my gaming channel. Of course, I doubt I could do like what Urinating Tree does, which is like sports ball. I mean, Urinating Tree is good, but I'm not that good, but I do have a pretty good knowledge of the game. It'd probably be more like what Tom Grossi does, because Tom Grossi does like a daily podcast. Except I think I'd probably do one like maybe 2 days a week or something like that. It'd be easier to do. What else? I don't think I had much else to talk about here, so I think that's gonna about do it for this stream. I'm probably gonna try to go to bed way earlier tonight, because that was 2 nights in a row. It was 4 a.m. when I went to bed, and I was like working on stuff because, like I said, I was out of town the whole week last week, and well, I'm not gonna be out of town all week this week, but I know Tuesday I gotta go. Well, what I'm doing is on Wednesday, but I'm catching a bus on Tuesday to go the night before. I just don't know if I'm gonna have to spend a night or two where I in the town where I go to catch a bus. And then next week, I'm gonna be honest, next weekend if I live stream, don't expect to see one past 3 o'clock probably, because, well, I got a midnight practice I gotta go to, so I'll probably go to sleep early in the afternoon so I can get plenty of rest for that, and then I gotta catch a bus that next morning because I gotta go back out west. So yeah, actually I probably will be out of town that whole week because I got 2 back-to-back games out west on the 8th and the 9th, and then I'll probably come back home. Well, I haven't decided yet. I'll either come back home on Wednesday, or I'll stay in the city an extra night and go back on, or I'll stay in the city a couple extra nights on Wednesday and Thursday, and, well, no, I don't want to do that. I may just stay Wednesday, go back Thursday evening, and then I got a softball tournament back east I've got on Friday only. I don't know if I'd do it on Saturday. It's a 2-day tournament, but it depends on how the bracket is set up, and It's like, my mom comes down on the weekends and she gets off on Friday, so I don't know if I can make Saturday work. That's gonna be wait and see, but I'll say this, I do start working again that week after on the 15th. I don't have a lot going on. I got an extra softball game I'm picking up after I get off work. That's about 30 minutes north of me. And then after that, I don't have too much going on until the 19th. But like I said, I'm still going to try to do a lot of streams and uploads to my gaming channel, even though my main channel is probably going to be the focus the next few weeks. But trust me, I'm going to try to do as many as I can. But that's going to about wrap up this stream. Boy, I actually really enjoyed doing this. I haven't done an NFL tier list stream in forever. And, you know, I actually kind of want to do a few college football stuff as well. I gotta work on some notes for that first. But I'll let you guys know how I'm gonna set that up. And I will probably do a live stream tomorrow. I don't know what it's gonna be yet. I don't know if I'm gonna do a gaming stream or what, because I do have several games I've been wanting to get back into. Like, I've really been wanting to try out that new Multiversus game. It's this new game Warner Brothers Games put out. It's like Brawlhalla, but I think I might like this one a lot better. I've been meaning to do another Madden stream, but I haven't been able to renew my EA Play membership on PS4. Like, the only reason I still have it on PC is because I think my PC subscription auto-renewed a couple days ago. I could stream the PC version of Madden 22, but it don't want to work with OBS for some reason. I've been wanting to stream Resident Evil 7 again, but... Well, it's weird. I installed it on PC, but I had to uninstall it and go to the DX11 version, because the DX12 version was, like, really laggy. And I did not want to play it on low settings. Like, DX11, I can run that game on medium-high settings and still stream at 60 frames on 1080p. I have quite a few other games. Oh, boy. Well, I don't know. I know I still need to work on Clickbait House. Of course, I showed you guys the episode is nearing completion, but I still gotta wait on voice lines, and, well, there was a part with the Beavis and Butthead parody type character. I was just gonna use text-to-speech, but I think I had a friend of mine on Discord that offered to do it. He says he can do a good Beavis and Butthead impersonation, which, I'll say this, it's not Beavis and Butthead, but the characters that are a minor role in the episode they got similar personalities. I think I can't remember what I cannot remember what their names are. I think, like, I'll have to pull the script back up. I think one was Kevin, and I don't remember what the other one was. Okay, it's Kevin and Mason. It's the only names I could think of at the time, if that makes sense. But I know I've got quite a few other games I've been wanting to stream. The only reason I hadn't streamed on my PS4 too much is because I don't really have a good enough capture card to stream in 1080p 60, and I have not been able to afford one as of late. And I got quite a few games I've been wanting to get back into. Like, I know I didn't care much for the remakes, but I've been wanting to play Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes again. But if I install the PC version, it's probably not going to be the DX12 version. I'd like to stream Chrono Trigger, but unfortunately it's like one of those games you have to narrate as you go, and I don't know how good at that I'd be. I've had people ask me, am I ever going to resume Dead Island? Well, I kind of have to find new people to play with, but I'm not going into the story on that. It's kind of a long story, but that's kind of why I have not resumed Dead Island in a while. In fact, I actually got some clips from my last playthrough I need to put together. I could do it on Share Factory, but I may import the clips off of my PS4 and just do it in Filmora, because that's what I prefer to do. I've been wanting to get back into Halo, but haven't had the time to do it. Well, again, I had the well, I'm not going to go into why I messed up my opportunity to play with a couple of friends that I played Dead Island with, but it was the same ones that offered to play Halo with me, but I'm not going to go into any of that. It's kind of it's kind of all on me, but I'm hoping maybe it works itself out and bygones will be bygones, hopefully. And then I really need to stream Resident Evil Village again ahead of the DLC. I actually need to pre-order for the DLC, but well, I'm gonna do it on PS4, but I may go ahead and do it on PC too, even though I can run Village on PC, but I can't run it at high settings. I think I can run it low medium and still stream at 1080p. Well, but I'm going to be honest, if I do that, that might be a situation where I have to try to, like, do a hookup from my laptop so I can, well, I guess I could make that work, stream off my laptop, but then I got to run another long Ethernet cable in here. I could probably make it work, but I still need to pre-order the DLC for Village. I've had someone ask me, would I do a full playthrough of third person on the day of the DLC? Well, I may do that separate. What I plan to do is do a playthrough of the entire game the day. Ooh, actually, hold up. I need to. When was the release date, the launch date on that again? October 28th? Oh, I might not be able to do it on launch day, and if I do, it's going to be a really late stream, because I got a football game I got to cover that night. Well, and as far as streaming a full playthrough of Village, it'd have to be before the 27th, because I got a football game I got to cover that day, too. Yeah, I can't remember if it's a home or away game, but I know I got to go into work early. The days I'm covering games on Thursday, I know I gotta go to work really early. But that's pretty much gonna be about a summary of what to expect. I know, I've had people ask me, would I ever do that Resident Evil marathon I've talked about doing? Well, here's my situation on that. What order would I go in? Because, well, and here's the thing, you got remakes of the first 3 games. Because, well, the HD remakes of 0 and the first one, like, were originally on the GameCube, but I have the high-def remakes on Steam and PS4. But I think I also got the things where I can stream the original versions of 1 through 3, but I do not have... I don't know, I have to work that out, and then, well, Code Veronica, well, I do have the version that was, I do have the PS2 on PS4 version, but, I don't know, I may just stream the emulated version, just so I can actually go 60 frames at 1080p, and then, well... bad part is I have to stream the crappy spin-offs too, like Survivor 2, Code Veronica, Dead Aim, which, oh, I dread that one, because if anyone remembers the last time it was my first and only playthrough of Dead Aim. Yeah, and I struggled mightily in that game too. I was playing on the lowest difficulty. I hope I didn't delete my save data from that either. I'm gonna be pissed if I did. Well, and then there's the mainstream games 4, 5, 6. Ooh. Oh, I dread playing 6, honestly. In fact, I think I recently just uninstalled, well, part of why I uninstalled 6 was kind of my frustrations with the game and kind of an argument I had with someone, which I might reinstall it, but I'm going to be honest, only way I will play 6 is on co-op, because you could not pay me to play that game on solo. Well, funny thing, I actually do have one of my, okay, so you might know how on Twitch, how, you can, like, redeem points for, like, rewards and challenges. Yeah, I actually have RE6 solo stream set at 100,000. But, yeah, you could not pay me to play. You could not pay me to play that game on solo, especially not Chris's campaign. I'll put it to you this way. If it's... Yeah, you don't want to see me play that game on solo. Mercenaries, maybe, but not the actual game. Well, and thing is, 4, 5, and 6... Well, I talked about wanting to do a marathon before RE4 Remake comes out, but it don't come out till like next spring, which I'm kind of hoping I got a PS5 by then. I'm hoping if I'm lucky enough I can get one by Christmas, but hey. Well, I say that because I don't think that remake is coming to PS4 and Xbox One, because I think I looked it up and it is exclusive to next gen, which, looking at the graphics, should I really be surprised? I'm really not. But by then, I'm wanting to try to do a marathon. Well, I don't know if I could do 4, 5, and 6 in one stream, because, like, RE4, a full playthrough, also counting separate ways, you're looking at like a 9-hour stream by itself, unless I go speedrun mode. Same with RE5, just because you got 2 separate DLCs, Lost in Nightmares and Desperate Escape, and then, well, I'm going to be honest, RE6, if you play the full campaign, say, even if it's the lowest difficulty, all 4 campaigns, you're looking at about a probably 14-hour stream. Unless you're playing, unless it's somebody like myself who's beat the game several times, and somebody else who's also beat the game several times, but could go speedrunner mode. Well, I know somebody that's beat the game several times, but unfortunately she is not a speedrunner. I mean, I think she's got the skills to speedrun, but I don't think she's a fan of speedrunning to begin with. Well, and then RE7 and Village would probably... Well, I know I could beat Village in under 6 hours. Well, actually, I've speedran Village in under 2 hours, but it wasn't the best attempt. Village, though, as much as I like to explore and how I have to use different tactics for that game, that would it'd be like RE4. It'd be about a 6-hour stream no matter what I do. Actually, probably 8 to 9 hours counting the DLC. Yeah, that pretty much about sums that up, but... Wow, this is the longest stream I've done in a while. Almost 3 hours, 41 minutes. But I think that's going to about do it for this stream. Well, I said I would probably stream later, but I've streamed long enough, and well, I have been going to bed early on Sunday and Monday nights just so I can get adjusted to the work week. And like I said, All-State week last week was a big adjustment for me because, well, like I said, I got one game out west to go do this week, and then after that, I'm pretty much just waiting to go back out there on the 8th. But that's going to about do it.